The 7-year-old girl stood trembling outside Throttle's garage, tears streaming down her dirt-streaked face. Her school papers lay scattered across the oil-stained pavement. She tried to bend down, tried to gather them, but her arms wouldn't move. They just hung there useless at her sides. "I can't lift my arms," Emma Martinez whispered, then louder, desperate. "I can't lift my arms." Jake Morrison looked up from his Harley. The massive biker with the scarred knuckles and Iron Valley patch froze. Something in that child's voice cut straight through 20 years of war prison and hard roads. Before you hear what happened next, hit that subscribe button and stay with us until the end. Drop a comment telling us what city you're watching from. We want to see how far Emma's story travels. Jake's wrench clattered against concrete. The sound echoed through the garage bay where 3 other bikers had stopped working. They all stared at the small figure in the fading afternoon light. "Hey there, little one." Jake kept his voice soft, the way he used to talk to frightened kids in Fallujah. He wiped his hands on a rag, moving slow. "You okay?" Emma's brown eyes went wide. She took a step back. "It's all right. Nobody's gonna hurt you." Jake crouched down, making himself smaller. "What's your name?" "Emma." Her voice cracked. "Emma Martinez." "I'm Jake. That's Marcus, Tommy, and Carlos." He gestured to the other men watching from the garage. "What happened to your arms, Emma?" She looked at the scattered papers, then at her arms, then started crying harder. "I can't pick them up. Miss Holland gave me an F on my math test, and if I don't bring it home, signed Diane's gonna..." She stopped herself, eyes going even wider. Marcus stepped forward. The tall black man with the medic patch moved with careful precision. "Emma, I used to be an army doctor. Can I take a look at your arms? I won't touch you unless you say it's okay." Emma nodded, still crying. Marcus knelt beside Jake. "Can you try to lift your right arm for me?" She tried. Her face scrunched up with effort and pain. The arm barely moved 6 inches. Now the left. Same result. Emma sobbed. "They won't work. I held the books too long. She said I had to hold them until she got back, but she didn't come back for hours and hours, and I dropped them, and she made me start over. And..." "Whoa, slow down, honey." Jake's jaw clenched. He'd seen this before. Different country, different language, same look in a child's eyes. "Who made you hold books?" "I can't tell." Emma stepped back again. "I can't. She said if I tell anyone it gets worse." Tommy moved closer. The youngest of the 4, all lean muscle and tattoos. "Kid, I grew up in a house where I couldn't tell either. I know that fear. But you're hurting bad, aren't you?" Emma nodded. "Marcus needs to check if anything's broken." "That okay?" Another nod. Marcus examined her arms with gentle fingers. "Severe muscle strain, possibly some damage to the shoulder joints. She's been holding her arms above her head for extended periods. Hours, probably." He looked at Jake. "This is abuse, brother." "I know." Jake turned back to Emma. "Where do you live, sweetheart?" "Cedar Street. The blue house with the broken fence." Fresh tears. "But I can't go home yet. Not without the paper signed. Please, can you sign it? Can you pretend to be my dad?" "Just this once." Carlos spoke for the first time, the oldest of them, gray in his beard, former social worker before he found the MC life. "Emma, who's Diane? My dad's girlfriend." The words tumbled out now, fear overriding caution. "My mom died when I was 5. Dad works all the time, drives trucks to California and back. Diane takes care of me when he's gone, but she gets really mad when I mess up, and she makes me hold the encyclopedias, and if I drop them, she..." Another sob. "I'm not supposed to tell." Jake and Marcus exchanged looks. 20 years of friendship meant they didn't need words. "Tell you what," Jake said. "Let's get these papers picked up first. Marcus, help her out." Marcus gathered the scattered homework while Emma watched, still crying quietly. "Now," Jake continued, "you said Cedar Street. That's 4 blocks from here. We're gonna walk you home. Make sure you get there safe." "No!" Emma's scream startled all of them. "You can't. She'll see you and she'll know I told, and she said if I ever tell anyone, she'll make sure I never see Grandma Rosa again." "Easy, easy." Jake held up his hands. "We won't talk to her. We'll just watch from down the street. Make sure you get inside, okay? That's all. You promise? On my honor as a Marine, I promise. Emma wiped her eyes with her forearms, still unable to lift her hands high enough. Okay. They walked in silence. Jake and Marcus flanked Emma, Tommy, and Carlos, trailing behind. Other residents of Riverside watched from windows and porches. The sight of 4 Iron Valley bikers walking with a crying child turned heads, but nobody interfered. They never did. At the corner of Cedar Street, Jake stopped. Which house? Emma pointed to a well-maintained blue colonial. White trim manicured lawn, American flag on the porch. Picture perfect. Jake had learned in Iraq that the prettiest houses sometimes held the darkest secrets. All right, we'll wait here. You go on in. Emma took 3 steps, then turned back. Thank you for picking up my papers. Emma, Jake called as she started walking again. If you need help, real help, you come find us. Day or night. Throttle's garage. We're always there. She nodded and ran toward the house, arms still hanging uselessly at her sides. They watched her climb the porch steps. The front door opened before she reached it. A woman appeared. Blonde, 40-something, yoga pants and a designer sweater. Diane Crawford smiled at Emma, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. There you are, sweetheart. I was getting worried. Her voice carried across the quiet street, sugary sweet. Come on in. Dinner's almost ready. The door closed. Bullshit, Tommy muttered. Total bullshit. Did you see that fake-ass smile? I saw. Jake pulled out his phone, snapped a photo of the house. Marcus, what's your medical read? That kid's been tortured. Plain and simple. Stress positions for hours. I've seen it before in interrogation victims. Her rotator cuffs are damaged, probably strained muscles throughout both arms. She needs medical attention and she needs to be removed from that house. Carlos. Jake looked at the older man. Classic abuse case. Caregiver with unsupervised access, child showing fear response, physical evidence of punishment. The stepmother dynamic fits the profile resentment toward the child from a previous relationship. Carlos shook his head. We call CPS. We call CPS, Jake confirmed. But we don't just call and walk away. That little girl asked us for help. Brother, we can't just, Tommy started. Can't what? Can't protect a kid who's being tortured 4 blocks from our clubhouse. We took an oath, Tommy. We protect this community. That includes her. They walked back to Throttle's garage in heavy silence. Inside, Jake headed straight for the office while Marcus pulled out his phone. What are you doing? Carlos asked. Documenting. Time, date, physical observations, Emma's statements. If this goes legal, we need records. Marcus typed rapidly. Jake's right. We're in this now. In the office, Jake dialed Child Protective Services. 20 minutes later, he emerged face dark. Well, they took the report, said they'd send someone out within 72 hours to investigate. Jake's hands curled into fists. 72 hours. That kid could be dead in 72 hours. So what do we do? Tommy paced. We can't break in there. We can't take her. We're convicted felons on parole. We even look at that house wrong and we're back inside. We watch. Jake's voice went cold, the tone he'd used in combat. Starting tonight, we establish a rotation, round-the-clock surveillance. We document everything. And if that woman lays one finger on Emma, if she so much as raises her voice wrong, we're going in. That's a good way to get arrested, Carlos pointed out. Don't care. Not letting another kid die on my watch. The room went quiet. They all knew the story. Kandahar, 2007. The girl who'd begged Jake's unit for protection. The paperwork and protocols that delayed action. The IED that killed her family 3 days later. Jake had sworn then he'd never put procedure over protection again. I'm in, Marcus said. Me too, Tommy added. Carlos nodded. Someone's got to keep you idiots out of prison. Might as well be me. That night, Jake took first watch. He parked his Harley 2 houses down from the blue Colonial engine off watching. Lights glowed warmly in the windows. Through the downstairs curtains, he could see movement. A man's silhouette, tall, heavy-set. That must be David Martinez home from his haul. The family sat down to dinner. From his angle, Jake could just make out Emma at the table. She wasn't eating. Her arms lay in her lap. An hour later, the man emerged carrying a duffel bag to a semi-truck parked in the driveway. He kissed Diane at the door. She waved as he drove away. 5 minutes after the truck disappeared, Diane's shadow crossed the dining room window. Then Emma's smaller form moved quickly, jerky. Running. Jake's hand went to his phone. The lights upstairs flicked on. Emma's bedroom, he guessed. The window shade was down, but backlit shadows played across it. 2 figures. One tall, one small. The tall one's arms raised. Jake was off his bike and halfway across the street before he stopped himself. Burst in there now, and he'd lose any legal standing. They'd arrest him. Emma would go back, and it would be worse. His phone buzzed. Marcus. You seeing this? Yeah. Jake's voice shook with rage. I'm 2 minutes away. Stay put. We can't do anything tonight. Not yet. The shadows separated. The tall one left. The small one curled into a ball on what must be the bed. Jake watched until 2 a.m. when Marcus relieved him. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Carlos pulled up records. Diane Crawford, age 43, born in Sacramento. One previous marriage ended in divorce. Jake noticed the ex-husband's name, Peter Crawford, and something clicked. Run the ex-husband, Carlos typed. Restraining order filed 2019. Peter Crawford accused Diane of physical and emotional abuse toward his children from a previous marriage. 2 kids, both girls, ages 8 and 10 at the time. He looked up. She's done this before. Did the ex get custody? Full custody, permanent. Diane was ordered to supervised visitation only, which she never pursued. More typing. She moved from California to Oregon 6 months after the divorce finalized. Met David Martinez on a dating app 8 months ago. Jake slammed his fist on the desk. So she lost access to those kids and found new ones to torture. That's the profile. These abusers don't stop, they just find new victims. Carlos pulled up more screens. David's clean. No record, steady employment, pays his taxes. By all accounts, a decent guy who works too much and doesn't see what's happening in his own house. Or doesn't want to see it, Marcus said from the doorway. He'd just come off watch shift. I talked to the neighbor while I was posted up. Mrs. Chen, nice Korean lady, lives next door. Her daughter Sophie used to play with Emma all the time. Diane put a stop to it 6 months ago. Told Mrs. Chen that Emma needed to focus on her schoolwork, couldn't have distractions. Mrs. Chen said Emma used to be this bright, happy kid. Now she barely smiles. Tommy burst through the door. We got a problem. CPS is at the house right now. They ran outside. Sure enough, a white sedan with government plates sat in the blue Colonial's driveway. Through the window, they could see Diane talking to a woman in a blazer. Emma sat on the couch, David beside her. Shit, Jake breathed. It's too soon. We don't have enough documentation. They watched helplessly as the meeting concluded 30 minutes later. The CPS worker shook Diane's hand, patted Emma on the head, and left. Jake was already calling. When the worker answered, he identified himself as a concerned community member who'd filed the report. I've completed my investigation, sir. The home is clean, well-maintained. Both parents were cooperative. The child showed no signs of current abuse or neglect. Did you examine her arms? The child was wearing a long-sleeve shirt. When asked, she said she'd been playing on the monkey bars and her shoulders were sore. The stepmother explained that Emma is sometimes clumsy and accident-prone. And you believed that? The worker's voice cooled. Sir, I've been doing this job for 15 years. I know abuse when I see it. This was a concerned stepmother dealing with an active child. The case is closed. She hung up. Jake stood frozen, phone in hand. Around him, his brothers waited. Well, Carlos asked. Case closed. They saw exactly what Diane wanted them to see. So what now? Jake's jaw set. Now we do it ourselves. Marcus, I need you to teach me how to spot injuries. Carlos, pull everything you can on Diane, friends, job, finances, everything. Tommy, you're on tech. I want cameras. Jake, that's illegal surveillance. I don't care. That little girl has nobody else. Over the next week, they built their case in secret. Tommy installed tiny cameras with telephoto lenses in trees surrounding the colonial angled at windows. Marcus compiled a medical file based on visual observations. Carlos tracked Diane's patterns, her yoga classes, her shopping trips, her lunch dates with friends where she played the devoted stepmother. And they watched. Emma went to school each day, arms moving better, but still stiff. She never played at recess, just sat alone reading. Mrs. Chen tried to talk to her once. Emma smiled sadly and walked away. David left for a hall every Sunday night, returned Friday evening, like clockwork. And every Monday morning, Emma appeared more withdrawn than the week before. On the 8th day, Emma showed up at the garage. It was 7 a.m. Jake was opening up when he saw her standing at the edge of the lot, backpack on, eyes red from crying. Emma, what are you doing here? School doesn't start for an hour. She walked closer, reached into her backpack, pulled out a piece of paper. Her hands shook as she held it out. Jake took it. A drawing, crude but clear. A stick figure girl with yellow hair looming over a smaller stick figure with brown hair. The smaller figure had red marks all over. Above the scene, Emma had written in careful letters, "Help me, please." "Emma," Jake's voice broke. "I can't take it anymore." She wasn't crying now, just hollow. "Yesterday I spilled milk at breakfast. She made me kneel on rice for 2 hours. My knees are bleeding. Last week I forgot to make my bed and she locked me in the closet all day. I missed school and she told them I had the flu." "Where's your dad right now?" "California. He won't be back until Friday." Emma looked up at him with eyes too old for 7. "She's getting worse. She knows someone called on her. She thinks it was Mrs. Chen. She told me if I ever talk to Sophie again, she'll make sure something bad happens to Sophie." Marcus appeared from the back room, took one look at Emma and pulled out his phone. "I'm documenting this. Emma, can you show me your knees?" She pulled up her pant legs. Both knees were scabbed and bruised, perfect impressions of rice grains pressed into torn skin. "Jesus Christ," Marcus whispered. Carlos emerged next. "Emma, honey, why did you come here this morning?" "Because you said day or night. You said if I needed help." She looked at each of them. "I need help. I can't go back there. Not for 5 more days until Dad gets home. I can't." Jake knelt in front of her. "Listen to me very carefully. We're going to help you. But we have to do this right, understand? We have to build a case that nobody can ignore. Can you be brave for a little longer?" "I've been brave for 2 years." Her voice was flat. "Ever since Mom died and Dad met Diane, I've been so brave." "I know you have, sweetheart. I know." Jake made a decision that would change everything. "Here's what we're going to do. You're going to school today normal as possible. At 3 p.m. you walk past here on your way home. You're going to drop something, a book, a paper, doesn't matter. That gives you a reason to stop. You're going to tell me what happened the night before, every detail. I'm going to record it on my phone. Then you're going to go home. Can you do that?" "What if she finds out?" "She won't. You've been walking past here for 2 weeks. It's part of your route home." Emma nodded slowly. "Okay." "And Emma, start keeping track. Every time she hurts you, every time she punishes you, you remember it. Write it down if you can hide the paper. We're building a file that's going to put her away. You understand?" "I understand." She left for school. The men watched her go. "We're really doing this," Tommy said. "We're really doing this," Jake confirmed. That afternoon at 3:15, Emma dropped her math book right on schedule. Jake came out, helped her pick it up, and quietly held his phone between them. "Tell me about last night." Emma's words came fast practiced. "She made me copy sentences. I will not be clumsy 500 times. It took until midnight. When I spelled clumsy wrong on number 347, she made me start over. I didn't get to sleep until 2 a.m. "Where was this?" "Kitchen table. She sits and watches to make sure I don't mess up. If I cry, she adds another 100. "Did she hit you?" "Not yesterday. She doesn't hit much anymore. She said hitting leaves marks that people can see. The other stuff doesn't show." Jake's blood ran cold. Diane Crawford wasn't just an abuser. She was calculating, intelligent, covering her tracks. "You're doing great, Emma. Keep going. Can I ask you something? Anything? Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. Jake looked at this small broken child and saw every kid he'd failed to save in 2 tours of combat. Because somebody should have helped me when I was your age and nobody did. Because you deserve better. Because that's what we do. We protect people who can't protect themselves. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when you're safe. He handed back her math book. See you tomorrow, same time. Same time. This became their routine. Every day, Emma dropped something. Every day, Jake recorded her testimony. The file grew, kneeling on rice, copying sentences, holding stress positions, food deprivation, isolation, verbal abuse, a systematic torture of a 7-year-old child. By day 12, they had 17 recorded testimonies, 48 hours of surveillance footage, and medical documentation from Marcus. It's time, Carlos said. We've got enough. Not yet. Jake stared at the evidence spread across the office. We take this to the cops, they'll say she's coaching the kid. We need something undeniable. Like what? Like catching her in the act? Marcus shook his head. Jake, we can't set up a sting operation. We're not law enforcement. No, but we can be ready when the opportunity comes. Jake pulled up the surveillance feed. David leaves for his next haul Sunday night. Monday morning something's going to happen. It always does. And we're going to be there to document it. Sunday night came. David's truck pulled away at 8 p.m. Through the cameras, they watched Diane's expression change the moment his taillights disappeared. The mask came off. She turned to Emma, said something they couldn't hear through the window. Emma's face went white. Monday morning, 6 a.m. Marcus was on watch when his radio crackled. Jake, get down here. Now. Jake was there in 5 minutes. What have we got? Look. Marcus pointed to the Colonial's garage. The door was open. Inside, they could see Emma. She was standing with her arms straight out to her sides, parallel to the ground. In each hand, she held a heavy hardcover book. Diane sat in a lawn chair drinking coffee, watching. How long has she been like that? Jake demanded. Since I got here at 5:30, at least 90 minutes, probably longer. As they watched, Emma's arms began to shake. The books dipped. Diane stood up, said something sharp. Emma's face scrunched up with effort as she forced her arms back up. That's it. I'm calling 911. Jake pulled out his phone. And tell them what we've been conducting illegal surveillance, that'll go great. I don't care anymore. That kid... Emma's arms gave out. The books crashed to the garage floor. Diane exploded out of her chair. Even without audio, they could see her screaming. Emma tried to pick up the books, but her arms wouldn't work. She was crying, trying to explain. Diane grabbed her by the hair. Jake was running before he knew he'd moved. Marcus shouted something behind him, but he didn't hear it. He crossed the 2 houses in seconds, jumped the fence into the Colonial's backyard, came around to the garage. Diane had Emma by both shoulders, now shaking her. Emma's head snapped back and forth. She was screaming. Hey! Jake's roar stopped them both. Diane spun, eyes wide. Emma collapsed to the garage floor. Who the hell are you? This is private property. I'm calling the police. Good. Call them. Jake pulled out his phone, held it up. I've been recording for the last 3 minutes. Got great footage of you assaulting that child, plus the 90 minutes of surveillance video from this morning, plus 2 weeks of testimonies, plus medical documentation. Please call the police. I'm begging you. Diane's face went from angry to calculating in a heartbeat. You're the bikers. Emma's been talking to you. I knew it. She smoothed her hair, composed herself. This is a misunderstanding. Emma has behavioral issues. This is a behavioral modification technique recommended by her therapist. Bullshit. Emma doesn't have a therapist. How would you know you're a stranger who's been stalking my family? Diane pulled out her phone. I'm calling the police to report a threatening man on my property. Do it, she dialed. Yes. Hello, there's a strange man in my garage threatening me and my daughter. We need help immediately. Emma had crawled to the corner, arms wrapped around her knees, rocking. Jake kept his phone trained on Diane. Don't move. Don't talk. Don't do anything. Cops will be here in minutes. They stood frozen in awful tableau until sirens wailed up the street. Sheriff Tom Brennan stepped out of his cruiser, hand on his weapon. Jake Morrison. Should have known. Step away from the lady. Tom, she was assaulting the kid. I've got it on video. He's lying. Diane's tears came on cue, perfect and instant. I was correcting Emma's posture for her dance class, and this man appeared out of nowhere shouting threats. Emma doesn't take dance class, Jake said flatly. Jake, you need to leave, now. Brennan's voice was hard. This is a family matter. This is a child abuse matter. You got proof, Jake held up his phone. 2 weeks of surveillance, recorded testimonies, medical documentation. Obtained how you got a warrant for that surveillance. Emma give you permission to record her testimonies. She's 7, can't give legal consent. Brennan shook his head. You just destroyed any case you might have had. That's inadmissible and you know it. Plus you're trespassing and I'm pretty sure violating your parole conditions. Tom, please, just look at the kid. They both turned to Emma. She was still in the corner, non-responsive, arms limp at her sides. Honey. Diane crouched beside her, the perfect, concerned mother. It's okay, sweetheart. The bad man is leaving. I'm not the bad man, Jake said quietly. Sir, you need to go, now, or I arrest you for trespassing, harassment, and violation of parole. Brennan stepped forward. What's it going to be? Jake looked at Emma, looked at Diane's triumphant smirk, looked at the sheriff, who was just doing his job according to the law that had failed Emma from the start. I'm going. He backed toward the fence. But this isn't over. Yeah, it is. Brennan followed him to the street. Stay away from this house, Jake. Stay away from the family. I catch you within 100 yards, you're going back to prison. Understand? Crystal clear. Jake walked back to where Marcus waited by his bike. Well, we lost. She's too smart. Played the victim, made me the threat. And Tom's right, everything we gathered is inadmissible. So that's it. We just give up. I didn't say that. Jake straddled his Harley. Call church, everyone, tonight. We need a new plan. That evening, 15 bikers crowded into Throttle's garage. Jake laid out everything, the evidence, the confrontation, the legal dead end. So what are you asking? One of the older members, Tiny, spoke up. You want us to vote on action outside the law. I'm saying that little girl is going to die if we don't do something. The system's failed her. The cops won't help. CPS won't help. She's got nobody but us. And if we act, we all go back inside, another voice called out. Maybe. Probably. Jake stood. I'm not asking anyone to risk their freedom, but I'm telling you right now I'm going back for her, with or without the club. I'd rather have you with me. Silence. Then Marcus stood. I'm in. Tommy followed. Me too. Carlos sighed. Guess we're doing this. One by one, every man in that room stood. All in favor of putting Emma Martinez under official Iron Valley protection, Jake called. Aye. The response shook the rafters. Then we're at war. Carlos Threper needs you to find us a lawyer, best family law attorney in Oregon. Marcus, medical evidence that'll hold up in any court. Tommy, I need you to get creative with how we gather evidence legally. And someone find Emma's grandmother, Rosa Martinez. If we're going to do this right, we need family on our side. They scattered to their tasks. Jake pulled out his phone, looked at the last photo he'd taken that morning. Emma in the corner, broken and afraid. I'm coming for you, little one, he whispered. Whatever it takes. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. Mr. Morrison. A child's whisper. It's Emma. I took Diane's phone while she's in the shower. Emma, are you okay? She said if I ever talk to you again, she'll make sure I never wake up. She said it would look like an accident. Emma's voice shook. I'm scared. I'm really scared. Listen to me. Can you get out of the house? She locks my door from the outside at night now. Jake closed his eyes. Okay. Here's what I need you to do. Can you get to your window? Yes. Open it. Don't climb out, just open it. Can you do that? I think so. Good girl. Now, do you have anything you can use to signal a flashlight? A lamp? Anything? I have a book light for reading. Perfect. Tonight at midnight, you flash that light 3 times out your window. That tells me you're okay. If you're in danger, flash it 5 times fast. We'll be watching. We'll always be watching now. You're not alone anymore. Promise. I promise. Now hang up before she catches you. The line went dead. Jake walked outside where Marcus was setting up new surveillance equipment, better cameras, audio pickups. Midnight, Emma's gonna signal. We're going 24/7 from here on out. Jake, we can't maintain this forever. We won't have to. Something's gonna break. It has to. Midnight came. Jake watched Emma's window through night vision binoculars. At 12:01, a small light flashed. Once. Twice. 3 times. She was okay, for now. But as Jake settled in for a long night of watching, he knew they were running out of time. Diane was escalating. Emma was breaking. And somewhere in the dark hours before dawn, something was going to give. He just hoped they'd be ready when it did. 3 days of signals. 3 nights of watching that small light flash 3 times at midnight. Emma was still standing, still fighting. But the circles under Jake's eyes told the story of a man running on rage and coffee. You need sleep, Marcus said on the 4th morning, watching Jake drain his 6th cup. I'll sleep when she's safe. Tommy burst through the garage door, laptop under his arm. Found something. Diane's ex-husband, Peter Crawford. He's willing to talk. Jake was up instantly. Get him on the phone. 5 minutes later, Peter Crawford's voice came through the speaker, clear and bitter. You're the bikers, the ones watching Emma Martinez. That's right. How'd you know? Because Diane called me yesterday, gloating. Said she had another family fooled, and when some white trash criminals tried to interfere, the police chose her side. Peter laughed, sharp and humorless. That's Diane. Always 3 moves ahead. Tell me about your kids. Silence stretched. Then, she had my daughters for 18 months before I figured it out. Cassie was 9, Mia was 7, same age as your Emma. Started with little things, missed meals as punishment, writing lines until their hands cramped. Then it escalated. How bad? Cassie tried to kill herself, pills from the medicine cabinet. She was 9 years old and she wanted to die because living with Diane was worse. Peter's voice cracked. That's when the truth came out. Years of systematic torture, stress positions, isolation, sleep deprivation. Diane's smart, she knew exactly how far to push without leaving permanent marks. My girls were too terrified to tell me. Diane threatened to hurt me if they talked. Jake gripped the desk. You got them out. Took 6 months of legal hell. Diane played the victim perfectly, said my daughters were troubled that I was poisoning them against her. But I had a good lawyer and a therapist who specialized in childhood trauma. The therapist testified that both girls showed classic signs of sustained psychological torture. Judge finally saw through Diane's act and granted me full custody. Did she ever face charges? No. My lawyer said we'd never make criminal charges stick. Better to focus on getting custody and a restraining order. Peter paused. I heard she moved to Oregon. When I saw the news about her engagement to some trucker with a daughter, I tried to warn him. Sent emails, left messages. He never responded. Probably thought I was a bitter ex. Where are your daughters now? Safe with me in San Diego. They're in therapy doing better, but they'll carry those scars forever. And Peter's voice hardened. Listen, whoever you are, whatever you're planning, do it. Don't let Diane destroy another child. I've got documentation from our custody case. Medical records, therapy notes, court transcripts. I'll send everything. Use it. That's evidence we can actually use, Carlos said after they hung up. Previous pattern of abuse, expert testimony, legal documentation. Jake was already dialing. Who's the lawyer you found? Rebecca Hartman, family law specialist out of Portland. Won some big cases against CPS, has a reputation for going after the system when it fails kids. Set up a meeting. Today, if possible. Rebecca Hartman arrived at Throttle's garage 6 hours later. Late 40s, sharp eyes, carrying a briefcase that probably cost more than Jake's bike. She looked around the garage with undisguised curiosity. Interesting choice of office. We're interesting people. Jake gestured to a chair. Thanks for coming. Your friend Carlos was persuasive. Said you had a child abuse case the system's ignoring. She sat crossed her legs. I'm listening. They laid it out. Everything. The recordings, the surveillance, Emma's testimonies, Peter Crawford's documentation. Rebecca took notes, asked pointed questions, her expression growing darker. You've built a hell of a case. Problem is, most of your evidence is inadmissible. The recordings violate Oregon's consent laws. She's a minor. You're not her guardian. The surveillance is illegal. Even Crawford's documentation is problematic because it relates to different victims. So we've got nothing. Tommy's frustration exploded. I didn't say that. Rebecca flipped through her notes. We need to do this properly. First, we need a family member to request custody evaluation. Does Emma have other relatives? Grandmother, Rosa Martinez, David's mother. Perfect. Here's the play Rosa files for emergency custody based on suspected abuse. That triggers a formal investigation, court-appointed evaluators, the whole system. With Crawford's pattern evidence, we establish Diane's history. Then we need someone to catch the abuse in progress in a way that's legally defensible. How? Marcus asked. Rebecca smiled sharp as a knife. We get creative with wellness checks. If concerned community members repeatedly call in welfare concerns, police are obligated to investigate each time. Eventually they'll catch her off guard, and if Emma's injuries are severe enough during one of those checks, they can remove her immediately under emergency protective custody. That could take weeks, Jake protested. Emma might not have weeks. You got a better idea. He didn't. Then we do this my way. Find Rosa Martinez. Get her on board. I'll file the emergency custody petition tomorrow. Rebecca stood. And gentlemen, stop the illegal surveillance. You're giving Diane ammunition if this goes to trial. Document everything you can legally document. That means public interactions only. She left. The men looked at each other. Find Rosa Martinez, Jake said. Carlos, that's you. Tommy, pull down the cameras. Marcus, I need every public record you can find on Diane's social media employment history. Everything legal. What about you? Carlos asked. I'm going to Emma's school. Riverside Elementary sat quiet in afternoon sun. Most kids already gone home. Jake found the principal's office, knocked. Can I help you? The secretary looked him up and down, taking in the leather vest, the tattoos, the general air of danger. I need to speak to Emma Martinez's teacher, Mrs. Holland, regarding her safety. 10 minutes later, Mrs. Holland sat across from him in an empty classroom. Mid-30s, tired eyes, the look of someone who cared too much in a system that didn't care enough. You're one of the bikers Emma's been talking to, she said. Not a question. She told you? Not directly. But I've been teaching for 12 years. I know the signs. Emma's been coming to school with injuries for months. When I asked, she said she talked to some nice men who helped her with her homework. Mrs. Holland pulled out a folder. I've been documenting everything. Pictures of bruises, behavioral changes concerning artwork. But every time I report to administration, they tell me CPS already investigated and found nothing. Jake took the folder. Page after page of evidence, photos taken with careful dates and timestamps, written observations in precise teacher handwriting. Emma's drawings progressively darker and more violent. Why haven't you pushed harder? I tried. Her composure cracked. I called CPS 6 times. 6. They keep closing the case. I went to the principal. He said I was overstepping. I called the police. They said without concrete evidence of current abuse, there's nothing they can do. Tears started. That little girl comes to school exhausted, jumps at loud noises, won't make eye contact with adults. Last week she fell asleep at her desk, and when I woke her, she flinched like I was going to hit her. I know what's happening to her, and I can't stop it. Now you can. Jake tapped the folder. We've got a lawyer. We're building a real case. Can I have copies of this? Take the originals. I've got backups. Mrs. Holland wiped her eyes. Please tell me you can save her. We're going to try like hell. He left with the folder. On his way out, he passed the playground where a small group of kids played on the swings. One little Asian girl sat alone on a bench watching the others. Jake stopped. You, Sophie. The girl's eyes went wide. I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. Smart kid. I'm Jake. I'm a friend of Emma's. Sophie looked around, checking if any adults were watching. Is Emma okay? I haven't been allowed to see her in forever. When's the last time you talked to her? 6 months ago. Her stepmom said Emma was too busy for friends. But I see her at school and she looks sad all the time. We used to play together every day. Sophie's voice dropped to a whisper. One time I saw bruises on her arms. I asked if she was okay and she said she fell, but she looked scared. If I gave you my phone number, could you get your mom to call me? It's important. Sophie nodded, memorized the number Jake recited twice. Are you going to help Emma? That's the plan. Good. She needs someone. Sophie started walking away, then turned back. My mom says the pretty houses sometimes have the ugliest secrets. She's from Korea, and she says in her village everyone watched out for everyone's kids. Here, people mind their own business too much. Smart kid, smart mother. That evening his phone rang. This is Grace Chen. My daughter said you wanted to speak with me about Emma Martinez. 20 minutes later, Grace Chen sat in Throttle's garage with her husband Daniel, both looking distinctly uncomfortable surrounded by bikers. But Grace's spine was steel. Emma and Sophie were best friends. Diane ended that. She made up some excuse about Emma needing to focus on schoolwork, but I knew something was wrong. The way Emma looked at Diane like a dog that's been kicked too many times. I tried to talk to David about it, but he's never home. The one time I caught him, he said Diane was strict, but that's because she cared. Did you report your concerns? Rebecca asked. She'd joined the meeting taking notes. To the school, yes. They said they'd look into it. Nothing happened. Grace's hands clenched. In my country, the whole village raises children. Here, everyone's afraid to interfere. Afraid of lawsuits, afraid of being wrong, afraid of getting involved. So children suffer behind closed doors. That ends now, Jake said. Daniel spoke for the first time. What can we do? Testify. When this goes to court, we need neighbors, teachers, community members, all saying the same thing, that they suspected abuse, that they reported it, that the system failed Emma. We'll testify, Grace said immediately. Whatever you need. Carlos returned near midnight with an address. Found Rosa Martinez. She lives in Portland, about 2 hours from here. Runs a bakery in the Pearl District. Get her on the phone. Rosa Martinez had a grandmother's voice, warm and weary. When Carlos explained the situation, she went silent for a long moment. I knew something was wrong. A grandmother knows. But David kept making excuses. Emma was adjusting. Emma was acting out. Emma needed discipline. And Diane was so sweet when I visited, so attentive to Emma. I thought maybe I was being paranoid. Her voice broke. My granddaughter's been suffering and I didn't push hard enough. You can push now, Rebecca said, taking the phone. Mrs. Martinez, I need you to come to Riverside tomorrow. We're filing for emergency custody. Are you willing? I'll be there by dawn. Rosa Martinez arrived at 6 a.m., a small woman with iron in her eyes and flour still on her hands. She'd driven straight from the bakery, hadn't even changed clothes. Where is she? Where's Emma? Still at home. We can't move until the paperwork's filed. Rebecca had her briefcase open, documents spread across the garage office. I need you to sign these. It's a petition for emergency custody evaluation based on suspected abuse and neglect. Rosa signed without reading. Whatever it takes. By 9 a.m., they were at the courthouse. Rebecca moved like a shark through the family law division, filing papers requesting expedited hearings. By noon, they had a court date 3 days away. 3 days! Jake exploded when they got back to the garage. Emma can't last 3 more days. She's lasted 2 years. She can last 3 days. Rebecca's voice was sharp. This is how the system works. We push as hard as we can within legal bounds or risk losing everything. And what's Emma supposed to do in the meantime? Survive, like she's been doing. That night, Emma's signal came at midnight. 3 flashes. But the 4th night, Jake watched through binoculars as her window stayed dark. Midnight came and went. No signal. Something's wrong, he told Marcus on the radio. Give her time. Maybe she fell asleep. 12:30. Nothing. 1 a.m. Nothing. At 1:15, Emma's light flashed. Not 3 times. 5 times fast and desperate. Jake was moving before the fifth flash ended. She's in trouble. I'm going in. Jake, wait. Marcus's protest died as Jake's bike roared to life. He crossed the distance in 30 seconds, ditched the bike 2 houses down, vaulted the fence. Emma's window was closed now. Through it he could hear muffled sounds, crying. Then Diane's voice, sharp and cruel. You think I don't know what you've been doing? Signaling those criminals. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? Jake tried the window. Locked. He pulled out his phone, called 911. There's a child being assaulted at 342 Cedar Street. I can hear her screaming, send police now. He hung up before they could ask questions. Sirens would take 5 minutes, maybe less. Emma might not have 5 minutes. He picked up a rock from the garden, wrapped his jacket around his hand, and smashed the window. Diane's screaming stopped. Emma's continued. Jake cleared the glass, hauled himself through into Emma's bedroom. The scene hit him like a fist. Emma on her knees, arms zip-tied behind her back. Diane standing over her, a leather belt in hand. Emma's pajama shirt torn red welts across her shoulders. Get away from her, Jake roared. Diane spun, eyes wide, then calculating. She dropped the belt, grabbed Emma by the hair, yanked her to her feet. You stay back. She's my daughter and you're a home invader. She's not your daughter, and those zip ties say you're the criminal. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Diane heard them too. Her grip on Emma tightened. You think they'll believe you? A convicted felon breaking into a home, I'll say you attacked us. That you came here to hurt Emma and I was protecting her. With zip ties and a belt? Jake took a step forward. Try again. I said stay back. Diane pressed Emma against her, using the child as a shield. Emma, tell him. Tell him how I caught you trying to sneak out to see those men. How I was disciplining you for your own safety. Emma was crying too hard to speak. Let her go, Diane, it's over. It's not over until I say it's over. This is my house, my family. You're nothing but trash who should have minded his own business. The sirens stopped outside. Doors slammed. Voices shouted. They're coming in, Jake said calmly. When they see those zip ties, when they see those welts, you're done. Let her go now, and maybe you can claim you panicked. Hold on, and you're looking at kidnapping charges on top of everything else. Diane's face twisted. For a moment, Jake thought she might actually hurt Emma out of pure spite. Then flashlight beams cut through the hallway. Police, who's in here? Back bedroom, Jake called. Child in danger. 2 officers burst through the door, weapons drawn. Hands where we can see them. Both of you. Jake raised his hands. Diane finally released Emma, who collapsed to the floor. Sheriff Brennan appeared behind his officers, took in the scene with one sweep, broken window zip-tied, child welts belt on the floor, Jake with his hands up, Diane backing against the wall. Well, Brennan said slowly, guess I owe you an apology, Morrison. One officer was already cutting Emma's zip ties, while the other kept weapons trained on Diane. Those aren't mine. Diane's voice went shrill. He brought them. He broke in and attacked us, and I was trying to protect Emma. Ma'am, these welts are fresh, and this belt has your initials on it. The officer held up the leather, DC monogrammed in gold. Want to explain that? Diane's mask shattered. She's a disobedient, ungrateful little brat who's been lying to everyone. I've sacrificed everything for her, and this is how she repays me. Talking to criminals, making up stories, trying to ruin my life. So you tied her up and beat her. Brennan's voice was cold. I was disciplining my child. She's not your child. Rosa Martinez pushed past the officers, dropped to her knees beside Emma. Oh, mija. Oh, my sweet girl. Emma threw herself into her grandmother's arms, sobbing. Rosa held her, rocking, whispering in Spanish. Brennan turned to Jake. You broke into this house. I did. Destroyed property. Yeah. Probably violated your parole 6 ways to Sunday. Probably. Brennan looked at Emma, shaking in her grandmother's arms, at Diane, who'd finally shut up at the evidence scattered across the room. Good thing I didn't see any of that. Far as I'm concerned, I responded to an anonymous call about a domestic disturbance. When I arrived, I found evidence of child abuse in progress. He nodded to his officers. Diane Crawford, you're under arrest for child abuse, false imprisonment, and assault. You have the right to remain silent. As they cuffed Diane and read her rights, Jake backed toward the window. Brennan caught his eye, gave a small nod. Message received, get out before backup arrives, and makes things complicated. Jake was gone before Diane finished screaming about lawyers and false accusations. Back at Throttle's garage, the others were waiting. Well, Marcus demanded. Emma's safe, Diane's arrested. I'm probably going back to prison. Jake collapsed into a chair. Worth it. His phone rang. Rebecca. What the hell did you do? What needed doing? Sheriff Brennan called me, said there was an incident, said he's willing to keep your involvement off the record if I can guarantee Emma's safety going forward. Rosa Martinez has her. They took her straight from the house to the hospital for documentation. Good. That's good. Rebecca paused. You're a damn fool, Morrison. Also a hero. Try not to be both at the same time, so often it makes my job harder. She hung up. Jake let his head fall back, exhaustion finally hitting. Marcus put a beer in his hand. Drink, you earned it. Is she really safe this time? With Diane in custody and physical evidence, yeah, she's safe. Marcus sat beside him. You did it, brother. You saved her. Jake took a long pull of the beer. We saved her, all of us. The garage door opened. Carlos entered, phone in hand. David Martinez just got pulled off the highway by Oregon State Police. They informed him his girlfriend's been arrested and his daughter's in protective custody. He's on his way back. Think he knew? Tommy asked. Hard to say. Some people don't want to see what's right in front of them. Carlos shook his head. Either way, he's got a lot to answer for. Over the next 48 hours, the case exploded. Mrs. Holland's documentation surfaced. Grace Chen's testimony. Peter Crawford's records from California. Rebecca filed emergency motions. Rosa Martinez camped out at the hospital where Emma underwent a full medical evaluation. Marcus got the results. Chronic malnutrition. Damaged rotator cuffs in both shoulders. Scarring consistent with repeated stress positions. Psychological trauma off the charts. He read from his phone. The doctor's putting together a report. Says it's one of the worst cases of systematic child abuse he's seen. David Martinez showed up at the hospital on the second day. Rosa refused to let him in Emma's room. You don't get to see her. Not after what you let happen. I didn't know. You didn't want to know I told you something was wrong. Emma's teacher told you. The neighbors tried to tell you. But you were too busy, too blind, too weak to protect your own daughter. Rosa's rage could have melted steel. You chose Diane over Emma. Now you live with that. David stood in the hallway crying. Jake, who'd come to check on Emma, felt zero sympathy. She's 7 years old. She depended on you to keep her safe, and you failed her. Doesn't matter if you knew details, you knew something was wrong and you did nothing. I love Diane. I thought... You thought what? That love excuses torture, that your loneliness mattered more than your daughter's safety. Jake stepped closer. You're gonna have to live with this forever. Every time you look at Emma, if she ever lets you look at her again, you're gonna remember that you let this happen. That's your punishment, and brother, that's worse than anything a court could do to you. David collapsed against the wall. I just wanted someone to help raise her. After my wife died, I couldn't do it alone. I thought Diane cared. Diane cared about control, about power, about having someone helpless to torture. Jake turned away. You need to leave. Rosa's right, you don't get to see Emma. Not until she's ready, and that might be never. Court came on the third day. Emergency custody hearing. Rebecca had prepared Rosa, coached her on testimony. Jake and the others sat in the gallery watching. Diane appeared in orange jumpsuit looking small and human. Her lawyer tried to argue the incident was an isolated loss of control, that she'd been under stress, that Emma was a difficult child. Then Rebecca unleashed hell. Peter Crawford testified via video link about his daughter's abuse. Mrs. Holland presented her documentation. Grace Chen described the frightened child next door. The hospital doctor read his findings in clinical detail that made the judge flinch. Emma didn't testify. The judge ruled she'd been traumatized enough. But Rosa did. She talked about the granddaughter who loved drawing, who used to laugh all the time, who'd slowly disappeared into silent fear. She talked about Diane's manipulation, David's willful blindness, the system's failure. My granddaughter is alive because 4 bikers cared more about her safety than the police, CPS, or her own father. That's a tragedy, but it's also a miracle, and I'm asking this court to let me take her home where she belongs. The judge didn't hesitate. Emergency custody is granted to Rosa Martinez. Diane Crawford will remain in custody pending trial on charges of aggravated child abuse, false imprisonment, and assault. David Martinez will have supervised visitation only pending completion of parenting classes and psychological evaluation. The gavel fell. This child has suffered enough. She deserves safety and healing. Outside the courthouse, Rosa found Jake. I don't have words to thank you. Don't need words, just take care of her. Come see her. When she's ready. She asked about you this morning. Called you her guardian angel. Jake's throat tightened. Yeah, I'll come. 1 week later, Jake got the call. Emma wanted to see him. He rode to Rosa's house in Portland, a cozy place above the bakery smelling of bread and cinnamon. Emma sat at the kitchen table drawing. When Jake entered, she looked up. The bruises had faded. The fear in her eyes hadn't entirely gone, but something else lived there now. Hope. Hi, Jake. Hi, Emma. He sat across from her. What you drawing? She turned the paper around. 4 bikers on motorcycles surrounding a small girl. Above them the word heroes in careful letters. It's for you. For all of you. Because you saved me when nobody else would. Jake took the drawing, studied it. You know what I think? I think you saved yourself. You were brave enough to ask for help. That took more courage than anything we did. Diane said nobody would believe me, that I was just a stupid kid. Diane was wrong about everything. You're smart, brave, and strong. Don't ever let anyone tell you different. Emma came around the table, wrapped her arms around Jake's neck. He hugged her back, this tiny kid who'd survived hell and come out the other side. Can I come visit you at the garage sometimes? Anytime you want. You're family now. She pulled back, smiling. Really smiling, the first genuine smile he'd seen on her face. I can lift my arms now. Watch. She raised both arms straight overhead, stretching. They don't hurt anymore. Rosa took me to physical therapy, and the therapist was really nice, and she said I'm getting stronger every day. That's great, kiddo. That's really great. Rosa appeared with cookies and milk. Stay for dinner, I'm making tamales. Can't turn down tamales. They sat together, this broken child and her grandmother and the biker who'd gone to war for her. Emma chattered about her new school, her new friends, the art class Rosa had signed her up for. Normal kid stuff. Beautiful normal kid stuff. Jake's phone buzzed. Marcus. Diane made bail, posted bond an hour ago. The blood drained from Jake's face. How? Her mother in Sacramento. Posted her house as collateral. Where is she now? Unknown. She's got a GPS monitor, but those can be cut. Jake, if she runs, she won't run. She'll come for Emma. Jake was already standing. Rosa, I need you to listen carefully. Diane's out on bail. You need to take Emma somewhere safe. Now. Rosa's face went white. She can't. The judge said. The judge gave her bail. She's dangerous. Pack a bag. Go somewhere she can't find you. I can't just leave. I have the bakery. Emma has school. None of that matters if Diane gets to her. Jake pulled out his phone, called the others. We've got a situation. Diane Crawford made bail. Emma might be a target. I need everyone on protective detail. Emma had gone quiet, fear flooding back into her eyes. She's coming for me. No, she's not, because we're not going to let her anywhere near you. Jake knelt beside her chair. But we need to be smart. You and Rosa are going to go stay with someone safe for a few days while we figure this out. Okay. I don't want to run anymore. I'm tired of being scared. I know, sweetheart, but being smart isn't the same as being scared. It's being prepared. Marcus, Tommy, and Carlos arrived within 20 minutes. They formed a perimeter while Rosa packed bags. Jake called Rebecca. She shouldn't have gotten bail, not with evidence this strong. Judge set it at 100,000. Figured nobody would post that kind of money. Guess he figured wrong. Rebecca was typing. I'm filing an emergency motion to revoke bail based on threat to the victim. But that takes time. How much time? 48 hours minimum. Emma doesn't have 48 hours if Diane decides to run. Then you better keep her safe until I can get her back in custody. They moved Emma and Rosa to a safe house, Carlos's cabin, 2 hours outside Portland off-grid, and unknown to anyone outside the club. Jake and Marcus took first watch while Tommy and Carlos went hunting for Diane. Inside the cabin, Emma couldn't settle. She paced, jumped at sounds, kept looking out windows. Talk to me, Jake said gently. What's going on in that head of yours? What if she finds us? What if she takes me back? What if the judge believes her and I have to go back? None of that's gonna happen. You can't promise that. Adults always promise things they can't control. Emma's voice was older than 7 years had any right to be. My dad promised he'd always protect me. That promise didn't mean anything. Jake sat on the floor, patted the spot next to him. Emma joined him. You're right. I can't promise the judge won't make a bad decision. I can't promise Diane won't try something stupid. But here's what I can promise. I will do everything in my power, legal or not, to keep you safe. If that means I go to prison, fine. If that means I lose everything, fine. You matter more. Why? You barely know me. Because someone should have done the same for me when I was your age, and nobody did. Because you deserve better than the hand you've been dealt. Because that's what family does. And like I said before, you're family now. Emma leaned against his shoulder. I'm scared all the time. Even when Diane's locked up, even when I'm with Rosa, I'm scared. The therapist says that's normal, but it doesn't feel normal. Fear's a survival tool. Kept you alive in that house for 2 years. But eventually you gotta learn to put it down when you don't need it anymore. That takes time, and that's okay. They sat in silence. Outside, night fell. Marcus moved around the perimeter, checking locks, testing the alarm system Carlos had installed. Jake's phone buzzed. Tommy. Found her. Diane's at a motel outside Eugene, about 90 miles from Portland. Sheriff's on the way to pick her up for violating bail conditions. She's supposed to stay in Riverside. She was heading toward Portland, Jake said. Toward Emma. That's what we figured. GPS monitor confirms it. She got 60 miles before we tracked her down. Make sure they actually arrest her this time. Working on it. Stand by. Jake relayed the information to Rosa, who sagged with relief. But Emma just nodded like she'd expected Diane to come. She won't stop, Emma said. Even if they put her in prison someday, she'll get out, and she'll come looking for me. Then we'll deal with it then. But Emma, by the time that day comes, you'll be older, stronger, smarter. You'll know how to protect yourself, and you'll have people around you who care. Diane will never hurt you again. 2 hours later, confirmation came. Diane had been arrested trying to leave the motel. She'd cut her GPS monitor, packed a bag, and had MapQuest directions to Rosa's bakery. In her car, police found zip ties, duct tape, and chloroform. She was gonna kidnap her, Marcus said, reading the report. This wasn't about custody or visitation. She was planning to take Emma. Jake looked at the sleeping child on the couch, wrapped in blankets. She really thought she'd get away with it. Narcissists always do. They think they're smarter than everyone else. Marcus shook his head. At least she's back in custody. Judge isn't going to give her bail again. He was right. The next morning, Rebecca called with news. Diane's bail is revoked. She's in county lockup until trial. And the DA's adding kidnapping charges based on what they found in her car. She's looking at 20 years minimum. When's the trial? 4 months, but she's not getting out before then. Emma heard the news and finally truly relaxed. Over the next weeks, she started healing. Physical therapy restored her shoulder mobility. Regular therapy helped with the nightmares. Rosa's love created a safe foundation for recovery. And the Iron Valley MC became extended family. They taught Emma to ride on a small dirt bike Tommy rebuilt. Marcus helped with homework. Carlos taught her to bake his old social worker instincts, finding purpose again. Jake just showed up steady and reliable proof that some people keep their promises. But as weeks turned to months, David Martinez kept trying. He called Rosa, sent letters, showed up at the bakery. He'd completed parenting classes, started therapy, claimed he'd changed. He wants supervised visitation, Rosa told Jake. The court says I have to allow it. What does Emma say? She doesn't want to see him. She's not ready. The first supervised visit was scheduled for a Tuesday afternoon at a family services center. Emma cried the whole way there. I don't want to. Please don't make me. It's just an hour, mija. Rosa's heart was breaking. The court ordered it. But if you're uncomfortable, you tell the supervisor and it stops. Okay. They entered the visitation room, bland walls. Children's toys scattered around one-way mirror for observation. David sat at a table looking smaller than Jake remembered. Emma froze in the doorway. Hi, baby girl, David said softly. I've missed you so much. Emma didn't respond. She took a seat as far from her father as possible, Rosa beside her for support. I brought you something. David slid a wrapped package across the table. Your favorite art supplies. Emma stared at it. Emma, honey, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening. I'm sorry I didn't protect you. I'm sorry I believed Diane instead of trusting my instincts. I'm sorry for everything. Still nothing. The therapist says you're doing better. That's good. That's really good. I'm glad you're with Grandma Rosa. She's taking good care of you. Better than you did, Emma said quietly. David flinched like she'd struck him. You're right. You're absolutely right. I failed you. I can't change the past, but I'm trying to do better. I'm in therapy. I quit the long-haul routes so I'd be home more. I'm trying to be the dad you deserve. Too late. Emma stood up. Can we go now, Grandma? Rosa looked at the supervisor, who checked her watch. We're only 15 minutes in. Court order specifies 1 hour. I don't care what the court said. I don't want to be here. Emma, please. David reached toward her. She flinched away, the fear response instant and visceral. David's face crumpled. I'm not going to hurt you. You already did. You let her hurt me for 2 years. You chose her over me every single time. And now you want me to forgive you because you feel bad. Emma's voice rose. I almost died, Dad. I wanted to die because going to sleep and not waking up seemed better than one more day in that house. And you didn't notice. You didn't care. I cared, I just didn't know. You knew, Emma screamed. Teachers told you. Grandma told you. I told you. I said Diane was mean and you said I needed to adjust. I said she made me do things that hurt and you said she was teaching me discipline. I told you and you didn't listen. The supervisor moved forward. Emma, let's take a breath. No, he doesn't get to say sorry and make it okay. Nothing's okay. Nothing's ever going to be okay again. Emma ran for the door. Rosa caught her, held her while she sobbed. The supervisor looked at David. I think we're done for today. Please, I need to talk to her. Mr. Martinez, your daughter just experienced a trauma response. Forcing contact right now will only cause more harm. The supervisor's voice was gentle but firm. She needs time. How much time? However long it takes. Healing isn't linear. Jake heard about the visit from Rosa later that night. She's so angry. At David, at Diane, at the whole world. The therapist says that's healthy, that anger's better than fear. But it breaks my heart to see her in so much pain. Pain means she's feeling again. That's progress. Jake paused. What about David? He gonna keep pushing for visits? I don't know. He looked devastated. I almost felt sorry for him. Don't. He had every opportunity to protect her and chose comfort over courage. He earned Emma's anger. But David didn't give up. Week after week, he showed up for supervised visits. Week after week, Emma refused to engage. She'd sit in silence for the required hour, staring at the wall until she could leave. Until the day Emma brought her drawing of the bikers, the one she'd titled Heroes. She spread it on the table. These are my real family, she told David. They protected me when you wouldn't. They saw me when you couldn't. They saved my life while you were busy pretending everything was fine. David looked at the drawing at Jake's face rendered in careful crayon. The bikers. Jake, Marcus, Tommy, and Carlos. They're more my family than you ever were. Emma, I'm your father. No, you're the man who made me and then abandoned me. Jake's the one who showed up. There's a difference. Something shifted in David's expression. You're right. You're right, and I hate it, but you're right. I don't get to claim being your father when I didn't act like one. He pushed back from the table. I'm going to stop pushing for these visits. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, you know where to find me, but I won't force you anymore. You deserve that much. He left. Emma sat frozen, watching him go. How do you feel? The supervisor asked gently. I don't know. Empty, I guess. Emma picked up her drawing. Is it bad that I don't want him to come back? No, honey, it's honest, and honesty's the first step to healing. That night, Emma showed up at Throttle's garage with Rosa. Jake was working on a carburetor when they walked in. Emma, everything okay? I told my dad I don't want to see him anymore. I told him you're my real family. She looked nervous. Is that okay? Am I allowed to choose you over him? Jake wiped his hands, knelt to her level. You're allowed to choose whatever feels right for you. And if that includes us, then yeah, that's more than okay. That's an honor. The trial's in 2 weeks. Rebecca says I might have to testify. You want me there? Emma nodded. All of you, please. Then all of us will be there. Front row, whatever you need. She hugged him tight. Thank you for not giving up on me. Even when everyone else did, you didn't. Never will, kiddo. That's a promise I'll keep until my last breath. 2 weeks later, they all gathered at the courthouse. Emma in her best dress, Rosa holding her hand, the 4 bikers in clean leather vests. David sat alone on the other side of the courtroom, looking haunted. Diane entered in chains, still playing the victim. This is a witch hunt. That child manipulated everyone. I was trying to help her. Save it, the judge said tiredly. I've read the reports. Let's proceed. The trial lasted 3 days. Peter Crawford testified again. Medical experts, teachers, neighbors. Rebecca built a case brick by irrefutable brick. On day 3, Emma took the stand. Rebecca approached gently. Emma, I know this is hard. You're very brave for being here. Can you tell the court what happened at the house on Cedar Street? Emma's voice was quiet but steady. She described the punishments, the torture, the fear. She never looked at Diane, just focused on Rebecca. Did you ever tell anyone what was happening? I tried. I told my teacher. She reported it, but nothing happened. I told the bikers when they found me crying because I couldn't lift my arms anymore. Why could you tell them when you couldn't tell others? Because they actually listened. They didn't make excuses or tell me I was wrong. They believed me. Emma finally looked at Diane, and they protected me from you. Diane's lawyer tried to cross-examine, suggested Emma was confused or coached. Emma just repeated her story details identical. The jury deliberated for 90 minutes, guilty on all counts. Diane was sentenced to 18 years in prison. No parole eligibility for at least 12. Emma sat between Rosa and Jake as the verdict was read. When the judge's gavel fell, she exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. It's really over, she whispered. It's really over, Jake confirmed. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Rebecca gave a statement about systemic failures and the need for better child protection. But Jake shepherded Emma and Rosa away from cameras back to the quiet safety of the garage. That night they celebrated, not Diane's conviction, but Emma's freedom, her survival, her future. Emma stood in the center of Throttle's garage, surrounded by rough men with kind hearts, and smiled. I can lift my arms. I can choose my family. I can be safe. She raised both arms overhead, stretching toward the sky. I can do anything. And watching her, Jake knew she was right. This kid had survived hell and come out the other side. She'd grow up strong with people who'd fight for her until their last breath. Sometimes angels wore leather. Sometimes family was found in the least expected places. And sometimes one child's cry for help could change everything. The celebration lasted until Emma fell asleep on the garage couch, curled up with a blanket Tommy had draped over her. Rosa sat beside her, stroking her granddaughter's hair, finally letting herself believe the nightmare was truly over. "She's safe now," Rosa whispered. "Really safe." Jake nodded, but something gnawed at him. Diane was locked up, sure, but the system that had failed Emma, that was still broken. And there were other kids out there suffering in silence, waiting for someone to care enough to break the rules. "What's on your mind?" Marcus asked, reading Jake's expression. "How many others are there? How many Emmas in this town alone?" "Don't do that to yourself. You saved one, that's enough." "Is it?" Jake looked at Emma's peaceful face. "We got lucky. If she hadn't walked past our garage, if she hadn't dropped those papers, if we hadn't been paying attention, she'd still be in that house. Or worse." Carlos joined them, beer in hand. "You're thinking about starting something?" "Yeah, I am." Jake turned to face his brothers. "Guardian Angels MC, we make it real. We partner with schools, train teachers to spot abuse, create a network where kids know they can come to us. We become the safety net the system should be, but isn't." "That's a tall order," Tommy said. "We're not social workers." "No, but Carlos was. And Marcus is a medic. And I know what it's like to be a kid with nowhere to go. Between us, we've got the skills. We just need the structure." "You're serious about this?" Marcus studied him. "Dead serious. Emma can't be the only one we save. I won't let her be." Rebecca showed up an hour later, finding them deep in planning. "Why do I get the feeling you boys are about to make my life complicated?" Jake explained the vision. Rebecca listened, asked pointed questions, poked holes in their logic. Then she smiled. "You'll need nonprofit status, liability insurance, background checks for anyone who works with kids, mandatory reporter training, legal protocols for every interaction." She pulled out her phone, started typing. "I know people who can help. Give me 2 weeks." "You're in?" "Hell yes, I'm in. I've spent 20 years watching the system fail kids. Maybe it's time we built something better." Rebecca looked at Emma. "She's proof it can work. One kid saved because someone gave a damn. Imagine what we could do with resources and organization." 2 weeks became a whirlwind. Rebecca filed paperwork for Guardian Angels Child Advocacy, a nonprofit organization dedicated to community-based child protection. Jake, Marcus, Tommy, and Carlos became board members. They recruited volunteers, teachers, counselors, other MC members from clubs across Oregon who'd heard Emma's story and wanted to help. Grace Chen signed up immediately. "I told you in Korea the whole village raises children. Let's build that village here." Mrs. Holland joined next, bringing 3 other teachers from Riverside Elementary. "We see the signs every day. We just need backing when we report concerns. Someone who won't let cases fall through the cracks." Peter Crawford called from California. "My daughters want to help. They're older now, stronger. They want other kids to know there's hope. Can we start a chapter down here?" "Absolutely." Jake wrote down contact information. "We're going to need people in every state who understand what these kids are going through." The local news picked up the story, not just Emma's rescue, but the formation of Guardian Angels. Amanda Price, the reporter who'd first investigated, did a feature piece. "Bikers Turn Child Advocates: How One Girl's Cry for Help Sparked a Movement." The segment went viral. Within days, Jake's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Parents asking for help, teachers reporting concerns, other MC clubs wanting to join the network. Even some cops like Sheriff Brennan reaching out to coordinate efforts. "This is bigger than we thought," Tommy said, staring at the spreadsheet of calls. "We've got requests from 17 states. Then we go bigger." Jake's voice was firm. "We build the infrastructure to handle it. We hire real social workers, set up hotlines, create protocols. We do this right, or we don't do it at all." Emma watched it all unfold with quiet amazement. 3 months after Diane's sentencing, she stood in Throttle's garage, now also serving as Guardian Angels headquarters, and looked at the wall covered in photos. Other kids they'd helped, other families they'd saved. "Did I do this?" she asked Jake. "You started it. Your courage gave other kids courage. Now they're speaking up too. Good. Emma's voice was stronger now, steadier. Nobody should have to be that scared. The first real test came in January. A call from Lincoln City, a coastal town 90 miles away. A teacher reported a 10-year-old boy showing up to school with cigarette burns. CPS had investigated twice, found nothing. We need someone local, Jake told the team. We can't be everywhere at once. Already on it. Carlos had been building a database. Got 3 club members in Lincoln City who've completed our training, sending them the case file now. The Lincoln City team moved fast. Within a week, they had documentation, witness statements, and enough evidence to force a real investigation. The boy was removed from his home, placed with his aunt. His stepfather was arrested. It works, Marcus said, reading the update. The model actually works. But success brought new challenges. A backlash started brewing. Some people didn't like bikers positioning themselves as child advocates. Others accused guardian angels of vigilantism, of circumventing proper channels. A local politician, Councilman Richard Foster, made guardian angels his crusade. These are criminals playing hero. They're intimidating families, conducting illegal surveillance, undermining law enforcement and CPS. This organization needs to be shut down. He went on local news, gave interviews, stirred up controversy. Some people agreed with him. CPS workers felt threatened. Police worried about jurisdiction. Jake did his own interview with Amanda Price. We're not replacing the system, we're supporting it. Every case we handle gets reported to proper authorities. We document everything legally. We follow protocols, but we also don't walk away when a case gets closed prematurely. We stay involved until kids are actually safe. What about accusations that you're just criminals with good PR? I did my time, paid my debt, learned from my mistakes, but that doesn't erase my ability to care about kids. Some of us have been where these kids are. We know what it's like when nobody helps. That's not a criminal record talking. That's lived experience. The interview helped, but Foster kept pushing. He filed complaints with state agencies, demanded investigations into guardian angels practices, tried to revoke their nonprofit status. He's not going to stop, Rebecca warned. This is personal for him now. He's made you his enemy. Why, what's his stake in this? Rebecca pulled up files. Richard Foster has a brother, Dennis Foster. Guess who Dennis is married to? Jake's blood went cold. Diane Crawford's sister. Bingo. Foster's brother-in-law posted Diane's bail that first time. When she got convicted, it destroyed his family. Now Richard's out for revenge. So this isn't about policy. It's about vendetta. Politics usually is. Rebecca leaned back. But here's the thing, Guardian Angels is clean. I made sure of it. Every form filed correctly, every protocol by the book. He can investigate all he wants. He won't find anything. Foster tried anyway. State auditors showed up, reviewed every case file, interviewed volunteers, examined financial records. They spent 3 weeks digging. Their conclusion, Guardian Angels operated within all legal parameters and had successfully assisted in 17 child protection cases where the system had initially failed. Foster's response: the audit was compromised. I'm calling for a federal investigation. Emma heard about it from Rosa. Why does that man hate Jake so much? Because Jake saved you, and that made his family look bad. Rosa tried to simplify it. That's stupid. They should be mad at Diane, not Jake. People don't always make sense, Mija. Sometimes they blame the messenger instead of the message. Emma thought about this for a long moment. Then she asked Rosa to drive her to the next town council meeting. Foster was mid-rant about guardian angels when Emma walked into the chamber. She looked tiny in the adult space, but she marched straight to the public comment podium. I'd like to speak, she told the council president. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Foster's face went red. This is inappropriate. The young lady has a right to public comment, the president interrupted. State your name for the record. Emma Martinez. I'm 7 years old. Well, almost 8 now. Emma's voice carried clear and strong. Mr. Foster keeps saying guardian angels is bad, that they're criminals who hurt families, but they saved my life. My stepmom tortured me for 2 years. I reported it. Teachers reported it. CPS came and left and nothing changed. I was going to die in that house. Then I met Jake Morrison and he didn't walk away. He didn't say it wasn't his problem. He protected me when the system wouldn't. Foster tried to interrupt. Young lady, you don't understand the complexities. I understand that I'm alive because of those bikers. I understand that 17 other kids are safe now because guardian angels helped them. I understand that you're mad because your sister-in-law is in prison where she belongs. Emma's eyes blazed. And I understand that you're trying to destroy the people who saved me because you care more about your family's reputation than about protecting kids. The room erupted. Half the crowd stood and applauded. The other half shouted. Foster went purple. Order. The council president banged his gavel. Order in this chamber. Emma stepped down from the podium. Jake was waiting at the back along with Rosa, Marcus, Tommy, and Carlos. He picked her up, hugged her tight. You didn't have to do that. Yes, I did. He was lying about you. Emma buried her face in Jake's shoulder. I won't let anyone hurt you, not after everything you did for me. The council meeting continued, but the damage to Foster's campaign was done. Emma's testimony hit social media within minutes. By morning, it was national news. Abuse Survivor 7 defends bikers who saved her life. Public opinion swung hard in Guardian Angel's favor. Foster's political opponents seized the opportunity. Within a month, Foster resigned from the council amid mounting pressure. But the victory felt hollow to Jake. We shouldn't have had to fight this hard to protect kids. That's what kills me. We're doing the work the system should do, and we get attacked for it. Welcome to advocacy, Rebecca said dryly. You threaten the status quo. The status quo fights back. But you won. That's what matters. Spring brought new challenges. Emma's 8th birthday was approaching, and she wanted to do something special. I want to have a party at the garage. Invite all the kids Guardian Angels helped. Show them they're not alone. Emma's therapy had taught her the power of community. We could call it the Survivors Celebration. Jake loved the idea. So did Rosa. They planned it for Emma's birthday, April 15th. Invitations went out to 23 children Guardian Angels had assisted over the past 6 months. 17 showed up with their families. Kids ranging from 5 to 14, all carrying their own trauma, all taking tentative steps toward healing. Emma greeted each one personally. I'm Emma. I'm really glad you came. A 12-year-old girl named Sophia hung back, arms crossed defensively. My mom made me come, said you'd understand what I've been through, but nobody understands. Try me, Emma said quietly. Sophia looked at her, really looked, saw something familiar in Emma's eyes. My stepdad used to lock me in the basement, said I was worthless, said nobody would believe me if I told. Mine made me hold heavy books over my head until I passed out, said the same thing. Emma held out her hand. Want some cake? Tommy made it, and he's terrible at baking, but we're gonna eat it anyway, because that's what family does. Sophia took her hand. They walked inside together. Jake watched from the garage bay chest, tight with emotion. Marcus stood beside him. She's healing. Yeah, and helping others heal at the same time. Jake shook his head. Kids stronger than any Marine I served with. The party became a turning point. Those 17 kids formed bonds, exchanged contact information, created their own support network. Parents connected, shared resources, found community, and shared trauma. And Guardian Angels grew. By summer, they had chapters in 12 states, over 100 volunteers, a partnership with 3 major universities studying childhood trauma, real funding from foundations that saw the value in community-based intervention. But growth brought growing pains. Not every case ended well. In June, they lost one. A 13-year-old boy in Salem who'd been reaching out for help, showing signs of abuse, working with a Guardian Angels volunteer. Before they could build a case strong enough for intervention, he took his own life. Jake got the call at 3 a.m. He sat in the dark garage for hours afterwards, staring at nothing. Emma found him at dawn. Rosa had driven her over when Jake didn't answer his phone. I heard about Tyler, Emma said softly. The boy from Salem. We failed him. Jake's voice was hollow. We were too slow, too careful, worried too much about following procedures and not enough about saving him. You can't save everyone. My therapist told me that. She said even people who do everything right sometimes lose patience. It's not about being perfect. It's about trying. Trying wasn't enough for Tyler. Emma climbed onto the couch beside him. No, but trying saved me. And Sophia. And 16 other kids from the party. And all the other ones you've helped. Tyler's death isn't your fault. It's the fault of whoever hurt him. And the system that didn't protect him fast enough. I should have pushed harder, gone in sooner. And maybe gotten arrested and shut down, and then you couldn't help anyone else. Emma took his hand. You taught me that being brave doesn't mean being reckless, it means being smart. You were smart with Tyler. It just wasn't enough this time. That's not the same as failing. Jake pulled her close. This kid, this incredible, resilient, wise beyond her years kid, was teaching him lessons he should have learned decades ago. When did you get so smart? I had good teachers. 4 bikers who showed me what real strength looks like. Tyler's death hit the whole Guardian Angels team hard. They held a memorial service, opened discussions about how to respond faster in crisis situations, brought in professional counselors to help volunteers process the loss. From that tragedy came innovation. They created a 24-hour crisis hotline, established emergency protocols for kids in immediate danger, partnered with therapists who could provide same-day assessments. Tyler's legacy, Marcus said at a team meeting, is that we get better, we learn, we save the next one. Emma asked to speak at Tyler's memorial even though she'd never met him. She stood in front of 100 people and said, I wish I could have told Tyler that it gets better, that there are people who care, that surviving is possible. I can't tell him now, but I can tell the next kid who's scared, and the one after that, and keep telling them until everyone knows they're not alone. Her speech went viral. News outlets picked it up. Donations poured in. 3 more states requested Guardian Angels chapters. By fall, Emma was back in school, a different school, fresh start, new friends. She still saw her therapist weekly. Still had nightmares sometimes. Still flinched at raised voices. But she was healing. Sophie Chen was in her class. The friendship that Diane had destroyed began to rebuild. Want to come over after school? Sophie asked one day. My mom's making bibimbap. Emma hesitated. Casual invitations still felt strange, too normal for someone whose life had been anything but. I'd have to ask Grandma Rosa. She already said yes. I heard my mom talking to her this morning. They walked home together, backpacks bouncing. Grace Chen greeted them with hugs and snacks. The afternoon was beautifully ordinary homework at the kitchen table. Snacks, giggles over silly jokes. I missed this, Emma said quietly. When Diane was around, I couldn't have friends, couldn't have normal. Well, you can now, Sophie grinned. And you're stuck with me forever. Best friends don't quit. Even though I'm kind of messed up. Everyone's messed up about something. You just had worse reasons than most. Sophie said it matter-of-factly, the way only kids can. Besides, you're brave. You stopped a bad person and helped other kids. That's cool. Emma smiled. Maybe normal was possible after all. But October brought a shock. David Martinez showed up at Rosa's bakery. I'm moving to Portland, he told Rosa. Got a job with a local shipping company. No more long hauls. I want to be close. Not to push for custody or even visits. Just to be available if Emma ever needs me. Rosa studied him. He looked different, thinner, older, haunted by guilt that would never fully fade. Why are you telling me? Because I don't want you blindsided when you see me around town, and because I want you to know I'm not trying to force my way back into her life. But I'm her father. Even if she never speaks to me again, I need to be close enough to help if she ever needs it. She has help. She has me. She has the bikers. I know, and I'm grateful for that, but I'm still her dad, Rosa. That doesn't go away just because I failed at it. David's voice cracked. I can't undo the past. I can't take back the years I let Diane hurt her. But I can be better going forward. Even if that just means being in the same city, working an honest job, becoming someone she might not hate someday. Rosa wanted to stay angry. Anger was easier than compassion, but she saw genuine remorse in her son's eyes. Emma doesn't want to see you. I know. If you show up at her school, at the bakery, anywhere she is, I'll call the police. I won't, I swear. I'll keep my distance. But I need to be close. Please understand that. Rosa did understand, even if she hated it. One condition. You continue therapy. You prove you're actually changing, not just saying it. Already am. Twice a week. I'll send you my therapist's contact information if you want verification. Emma heard about David's move with mixed feelings. I don't want to see him. You don't have to, Rosa assured her. He promised to stay away. But he's here, in Portland. That's weird. It is. But Mija, he's your father. Someday you might want contact again, or you might not. Either way is okay, but having him nearby means you get to choose when you're ready. What if I'm never ready? Then that's your choice. Nobody will force you. Emma thought about this for days. Finally, she asked Jake, "Do you think I should forgive my dad?" They were at the garage, Emma doing homework while Jake worked on an engine. That's not for me to decide. Forgiveness is personal. It doesn't erase what he did or didn't do. It's about whether carrying that anger serves you. My therapist says the same thing, but I don't know how to stop being mad. Then stay mad. Maybe forever, maybe until you're 20, maybe until next Tuesday. There's no timeline for this stuff. Jake wiped his hands. Your dad made choices that hurt you. He's living with consequences. Whether you eventually forgive him or not doesn't change what happened. It only changes how you carry it going forward. That's confusing. Yeah, being human usually is. November brought Thanksgiving. Rosa hosted at the bakery apartment, Emma, Jake, Marcus, Tommy, Carlos, Grace, and Daniel Chen with Sophie, Mrs. Holland, and her family, Rebecca, and a handful of other Guardian Angels volunteers. This is what family looks like, Emma announced as they gathered around tables pushed together. Not just blood, but people who choose each other. They went around sharing what they were grateful for. When it came to Emma, she stood up. I'm grateful I can lift my arms now. I'm grateful for Grandma Rosa, who loves me no matter what. I'm grateful for Sophie, who's still my friend even though I was gone for a long time. I'm grateful for Mrs. Holland, who never stopped trying to help me. I'm grateful for Rebecca, who made sure Diane went to prison. And I'm grateful for Jake, Marcus, Tommy, and Carlos, who saved my life, and then helped save other kids too. Emma paused. Last year I was so scared. This year I'm safe. That's everything. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. December brought the anniversary of Emma's rescue, 9 months since Jake had first seen her crying outside the garage. Guardian Angels decided to mark it with a fundraiser gala, their first major public event. Emma was invited to speak. She was terrified. What if I mess up? What if I forget my words? What if people think I'm just some kid who doesn't know anything? Then you'll be a kid who messed up and survived, Jake said. You've survived worse than a speech. The gala was held in Portland's nicest hotel. 200 people attended, donors, volunteers, local politicians who supported their work families they'd helped. Emma wore a new dress Rosa had made deep blue with silver stars. She stood backstage, peeking at the crowd, heart hammering. You ready? Jake asked. No, but I'm doing it anyway. That's what brave means, right? That's exactly what it means. Emma walked onto stage. The spotlight made it hard to see faces, which helped. She found her family in the front row. Rosa, Jake, the guys, Sophie, Grace, Rebecca, her people. 9 months ago I was dying. Not fast, but slowly. Every day, a little more of me disappeared until I didn't know if there was anything left worth saving. Then I met 4 bikers who saw me when I was invisible to everyone else. They listened when I whispered. They believed when I had no proof. They fought for me when fighting meant risking everything they had. Emma's voice grew stronger as she spoke. People ask me all the time what it was like being abused. They want details. They want to understand how it happens. But that's the wrong question. The right question is, why didn't anyone stop it sooner? I told people. Teachers knew. Neighbors suspected. The system investigated twice and walked away. I survived not because the system worked, but because 4 men decided the system wasn't good enough. She looked directly at Jake. Guardian Angels exists because someone finally said, not on my watch. Because people stopped waiting for permission to care. Because volunteers decided that following the rules mattered less than saving lives. In 9 months, we've helped over 40 children. That's 40 kids who might have been me, invisible suffering, waiting for someone to care enough to break the rules. Emma pulled out a piece of paper. This is a drawing I made 2 years ago before Jake found me. It's a stick figure girl inside a box with no doors. That was my life. And this, she held up a second drawing, is what I drew yesterday. It's me on a motorcycle with my family around me, all of us riding toward the sun. That's my life now. That's what Guardian Angels does. We break open the boxes, we let in the light, and we don't stop until every kid knows they matter. Standing ovation. Emma stood frozen, overwhelmed, until Jake came on stage and put his arm around her shoulders. What this kid said, "We're just here to make sure no child faces darkness alone. Thank you for supporting that mission." The gala raised $200,000. Guardian Angels hired 2 full-time social workers, rented office space, expanded the crisis hotline to 24/7 coverage. But the real victory was personal. Emma had stood in front of 200 strangers and told her truth without shame. She'd owned her story and used it to help others. "I'm proud of you," Rosa said that night, tucking Emma into bed. "I'm proud of me too. Is that okay? To be proud of yourself?" "More than okay. It's necessary." Emma fell asleep, smiling, her drawing of the motorcycle family taped to the wall beside her bed. Jake drove home thinking about the past 9 months. One child's cry for help had sparked a movement. Emma's courage had inspired other kids to speak up. Their voices combined had forced the system to listen better, respond faster, care more. But it wasn't enough. It would never be enough until every child was safe. Until the system worked the way it should. Until asking for help didn't require luck and timing and happening to walk past the right garage at the right moment. His phone rang. "Tommy. Got a situation in Bend. 8-year-old boy, cigarette burns, parents claiming he's accident prone. Sound familiar?" "Yeah. Who's our contact there?" "Iron Brotherhood MC3 members certified in our protocols. They need guidance on evidence gathering. Tell them I'm on my way. 3-hour drive, I'll be there before midnight." "Jake, you haven't slept in..." "There's a kid who needs help. I'll sleep when he's safe." He hung up, pointed his bike east, and rode into the night. Because that's what Guardian Angels did. They showed up, they stayed, they fought. And somewhere in Bend, an 8-year-old boy who thought nobody cared was about to learn different. Emma had started a revolution. Now it was up to all of them to keep it going, one child at a time, one cry for help at a time, until the darkness had nowhere left to hide. The road stretched ahead, long and dark, but Jake had learned something from Emma's courage. The work was hard. The system was broken. The odds were bad. But none of that mattered as much as one simple truth. When a child cries for help, someone has to answer. Tonight, that someone was him. Tomorrow, it would be someone else from their growing network. The day after, another volunteer stepping up. Because Emma had proven that one person caring enough to act could change everything. And if one person could do that, imagine what hundreds could do. Imagine what thousands could do. The revolution was just beginning. The boy in Bend was safe by dawn. Jake returned to Portland exhausted but wired, running on adrenaline and the knowledge that another child wouldn't suffer tonight. Marcus took one look at him stumbling into the garage and pointed to the couch. "Sleep, now. You're no good to anyone dead from exhaustion. Can't. Got 3 more cases. Jake, you're gonna burn out." "We all are if we don't pace ourselves." Marcus grabbed Jake's keys. "The cases will still be there in 6 hours. Sleep." Jake collapsed onto the couch, asleep before Marcus left the room. He woke to Emma shaking his shoulder. Jake, wake up. Something happened." He shot upright, every combat instinct firing. "What's wrong? Are you hurt?" No, I'm fine. But there's a girl outside. She won't talk to anyone but you. Says her name is Cassie, and you'd know who she is." Cassie Crawford, Peter Crawford's daughter, one of Diane's previous victims from California. Jake was on his feet instantly. She stood in the garage parking lot, 14 years old now, taller than Emma, but carrying the same haunted look. A woman stood beside her, Peter Crawford's sister, based on the family resemblance. Cassie, what are you doing in Oregon? I came to meet Emma, and to tell you something important. Cassie's voice shook. Diane's getting out. Jake's blood turned to ice. That's impossible. She got 18 years. There's an appeal. Her lawyers found some technicality about evidence admissibility. They're arguing the surveillance footage was obtained illegally, that it poisoned the whole case. The appellate court is reviewing her conviction. Cassie pulled out her phone, showed him the legal documents. My dad got the notification yesterday. If they overturn the conviction, she gets a new trial. And her lawyers are good, Jake. Really good. They might win. How is this possible? Marcus had appeared, reading over Jake's shoulder. Because the system's broken, Cassie said bitterly. It failed me and my sister. It failed Emma. And now it might put Diane back on the streets. Emma had gone pale. She can't get out. She can't. She'll come after me. No, she won't. We won't let that happen. Jake's mind raced. Rebecca. We need Rebecca now. Rebecca arrived within the hour, reviewed the appellate documents, and swore viciously. They're arguing fruit of the poisonous tree that the illegally obtained surveillance led to all subsequent evidence, making everything inadmissible. It's a long shot, but it's not impossible. Give me percentages. 30% chance they overturn. If they do, the DA would have to retry with only the evidence from the night you broke in. Without the pattern evidence, without Emma's recorded testimonies, without the medical documentation Marcus compiled, it becomes a he said, she said. Diane walks. Unacceptable. Jake turned to Cassie. Will you testify at a new trial? That's why I'm here. Me and my sister both. We want to make sure Emma doesn't go through this alone if it comes to that. Cassie looked at Emma. I know we've never met, but Diane destroyed my childhood. She tried to destroy my sister's. We're not letting her destroy yours too. Emma walked over to Cassie, took her hand. Thank you for being brave enough to come here. You were brave first. When I heard your story on the news, heard how you testified at that town council meeting, you inspired me, made me realize I don't have to hide anymore either. The two girls stood together, survivors of the same monster, separated by years, but united in trauma. We fight, Jake said. Rebecca, what do we need? Everything we didn't have the first time. Testimonies from Cassie and her sister about Diane's pattern of abuse. Expert witnesses on psychological manipulation and systematic torture. Character witnesses showing Diane's true nature. Medical experts, teachers, anyone who ever saw through her mask. Rebecca was already typing. And we prepare Emma to testify again. Properly this time in a full trial, not just a custody hearing. She's 8 years old. I know. But if this goes to retrial, she's our strongest witness. Her testimony, combined with Cassie's and her sister's, establishes an undeniable pattern. 3 children spanning 7 years, all describing the same methods of torture. No jury would ignore that. Emma's voice was small. I have to get on the stand again. Only if the appeal succeeds. Right now it's just a possibility. Rebecca knelt to Emma's level. But if it happens, you won't be alone. You'll have Cassie, her sister Mia, your grandmother Jake, all of us. And this time, we'll be prepared. What if I mess up? What if I say something wrong and she goes free? You won't mess up. We'll practice. We'll prepare. And Emma, honey, you telling your truth is never wrong. Rebecca's voice was gentle but firm. But this is your choice. If you can't face testifying again, we'll find another way. There is no other way. Emma's voice steadied. If she gets out, she'll hurt more kids. I have to stop her. The appeal hearing was scheduled for February, 3 months away. Rebecca went into overdrive, preparing for the possibility of a new trial. Peter Crawford flew up from California with both daughters. Cassie and Mia spent a week in Portland working with therapists to prepare their testimonies, spending time with Emma to build solidarity. Mia was 12 now, quieter than Cassie, but equally determined. Diane told us we were worthless, that nobody would believe us. For years, I thought she was right. Then I saw Emma stand up to that politician on TV, and I realized she was lying. People do believe us. We just have to be brave enough to speak. The 3 girls formed a bond that went beyond shared trauma. They texted daily, supported each other through nightmares, and therapy sessions, became sisters in survival. But not everyone supported the fight. David Martinez appeared at Rosa's bakery in January looking haggard. "I heard about the appeal. I want to help." Rosa blocked the door. "How exactly do you plan to help? You couldn't even protect Emma when you lived in the same house." I know, but I'm different now. Therapy's helped me see how I failed her. I want to testify about how Diane manipulated me, how she hid her true nature. Maybe that helps establish her pattern of deception. Or maybe you testify and the defense tears you apart for being a negligent father who enabled abuse. You hurt Emma's case more than help it. Rosa's anger hadn't faded. "Stay away, David. You've done enough damage." But Emma overheard. She came down from the apartment, stood in the bakery doorway. "Dad?" David turned hope and fear warring on his face. "Emma, hi. You look good, healthy." "I am healthy. No thanks to you." Emma's therapy had taught her to voice her feelings. "Why are you here?" "I want to help. I want to testify against Diane if there's a new trial." "Why guilty conscience?" "Yes, but also because you deserve justice. And I failed to give you that before. Let me help now." Emma studied her father, this man who'd created her and abandoned her and was now desperately trying to make amends. "Rebecca says you testifying might backfire, that Diane's lawyers could use you to show Emma had a troubled home environment beyond just Diane." "They could, but they could also try that anyway. At least if I testify, I control the narrative. I admit my failures. I take responsibility. That takes away their ammunition." Rosa started to protest, but Emma held up her hand. "Let me think about it." David nodded, backed away. "Take all the time you need. I'll be here if you decide yes." After he left, Rosa exploded. "You're not seriously considering—" "I don't know what I'm considering. But he's trying, Grandma. For the first time ever, he's actually trying." Emma sat at one of the bakery tables. "I'm not ready to forgive him. Maybe I never will be. But if his testimony helps put Diane away forever, maybe I use it." "That's very mature of you." "My therapist says trauma either makes you grow up too fast or keeps you stuck as a child. I chose growing up." Emma's smile was sad. "I didn't get to be a normal kid anyway. Might as well use it." The appellate hearing arrived on a cold February morning. Jake, Marcus, Tommy, and Carlos rode to the courthouse together, Emma and Rosa in Rebecca's car, Cassie and Mia with their father in a rental. They filled a whole row in the gallery. Diane was brought in wearing prison orange. She'd lost weight, hair pulled back severely, trying to look sympathetic. When she saw Emma, Cassie, and Mia sitting together, her expression flickered surprise, then rage. Then the mask came back down. The appellate judges heard arguments for 2 hours. Diane's lawyers were slick, expensive, arguing constitutional violations and illegal surveillance. The state's attorney countered that the surveillance, while problematic, hadn't been the foundation of the case. Emma's injuries the night of her rescue, documented by hospital staff and police, were sufficient for conviction, regardless of prior evidence. The appellant's claim that all evidence stemmed from illegal surveillance ignores the independent discovery by law enforcement on the night of November 16th, the prosecutor argued. Officers responding to a domestic disturbance found a child bound with zip ties, fresh welts from a belt, and the defendant actively in the process of abuse. That evidence stands regardless of what came before. Diane's lawyer fired back. The police response was triggered by the appellant's illegal surveillance and stalking. Had Mr. Morrison not been conducting criminal activity, officers would never have responded. The entire chain of events is fruit of the poisonous tree. The judges asked pointed questions, took notes, gave no indication of their thinking. After 2 hours, the chief judge spoke. "This court will take the matter under advisement. Will issue a ruling within 60 days. Until then, the appellant remains in custody." 60 days. 2 months of waiting to learn if Diane walked free or stayed locked up. Emma held it together until they reached the parking garage, then broke down sobbing. "I can't do this again. I can't wait 2 months wondering if she's coming back." Jake picked her up. She was getting too big for this, but he did it anyway. "Listen to me. Whatever happens, we're prepared. If she gets out, we have restraining orders ready to file. We have safe houses. We have a whole network of people watching out for you. She will not touch you again. You can't promise that. You're right. But I can promise I'll die trying to keep you safe. Is that good enough? Emma buried her face in his shoulder. I just want this to be over. I want to stop being scared. I know, baby girl. I know. The wait was brutal. Rebecca filed preemptive motions for restraining orders, emergency custody confirmations, every legal protection she could think of. The Guardian Angels network went on high alert. If Diane was released, they'd know within minutes, and Emma would disappear into protective custody. School became difficult for Emma. Kids asked questions about the appeal, having seen news coverage. Some were supportive. Others were cruel in the way only children can be. My mom says your stepmom might go free because you lied, one girl said at recess. Sophie Chen got in the girl's face immediately. Emma didn't lie. My mom saw the bruises. My family testified. You don't know anything. But the damage was done. Emma went quiet, stopped raising her hand in class, ate lunch alone except for Sophie. Mrs. Holland called Rosa. Emma's regressing. She's withdrawn again, anxious. Is there anything I can do? Just keep her safe. Let her know she's believed. That's all any of us can do right now. March came with no ruling. April arrived. Emma's 9th birthday passed quietly. She didn't want a party, didn't want attention, just wanted to be invisible until the court decided her fate. Then on April 23rd, the ruling came. Rebecca called Jake at 9 a.m. The appeal was denied. Conviction stands. Diane stays in prison for the full 18 years. Jake actually sat down, knees weak with relief. Say that again. The appellate court ruled that the evidence collected on the night of Emma's rescue was independent of prior surveillance. They acknowledged the surveillance was problematic, but determined it didn't taint the core evidence. Diane's conviction stands. It's really over. It's really over. She's not getting out. Emma's safe. Jake called Rosa, who called the school, who pulled Emma from class to give her the news. Emma stood in the principal's office, phone to her ear, listening to Rosa cry with relief. She's not getting out. She's not getting out, mija. You're safe. It's over. Emma hung up and burst into tears. The principal, a kind woman named Dr. Chen, no relation to Grace, let her cry, then called Sophie from class to sit with her friend. That afternoon, Guardian Angels threw an impromptu celebration at the garage. Emma arrived to find decorations, cake, and the entire team waiting. This is weird, Emma said, laughing through tears. Celebrating someone staying in prison. We're not celebrating her imprisonment. We're celebrating your freedom. Jake handed her a card signed by everyone. You don't have to look over your shoulder anymore. You don't have to be afraid. That's worth celebrating. Inside the card were messages from people across the Guardian Angels network, kids. They'd helped, volunteers, donors, all sharing in Emma's victory because it was their victory too. Cassie had written, "You did it. You beat the monster. Now live your best life and show her she never had any power over who you'd become." Mia added, "Be happy, be loud. Be everything she tried to stop you from being. That's the best revenge." Emma read every message, tears streaming. I don't have to be strong anymore. Is that okay? Can I just be a regular kid now? You can be whatever you want, Rosa said. That's the point of freedom. But freedom came with unexpected challenges. Without the immediate threat of Diane's return, Emma's trauma surfaced in new ways. Nightmares increased. She developed separation anxiety, panicking when Rosa left her sight. Therapy appointments doubled. This is normal, her therapist Dr. Walsh explained to Rosa and Jake. When you're in survival mode, you suppress a lot of emotions to stay functional. Now that she's safe, her brain is processing everything she couldn't process before. It's going to get worse before it gets better. How much worse? Jake asked. Hard to say. Every kid's different. But Emma's resilient. She'll come through this. She just needs support and patience. The nightmares were the worst. Emma would wake screaming, convinced Diane was in her room. Rosa would rush in to find her granddaughter shaking, unable to distinguish dream from reality. After a particularly bad night, Emma called Jake at 3 a.m. "Can you come over? I know it's late, but I can't stop shaking and Grandma's exhausted and I'm on my way." He arrived 15 minutes later. Rosa let him in, gratefully went to grab some sleep while Jake sat with Emma. "Tell me about the dream." "Diane got out. She came to the bakery and told me the court made a mistake, that she was allowed to take me back. And everyone believed her. You, Grandma, Rosa, everyone. I tried to tell you it was wrong, but nobody listened, and she took me back to that house, and—" Emma couldn't finish. "That's not real. The court ruling was final. Diane's in prison until you're 26 years old. By then you'll be an adult living your own life, and she'll be nothing but a bad memory. What if I never stop having nightmares? What if I'm scared forever?" "Then you're scared forever and you live anyway. Fear doesn't have to control you, Emma. It's just a feeling, not a fact." Jake pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. "Know what this is?" Emma looked. A younger Jake in Marine uniform, standing with his unit. "You in the military." "Iraq, 2007. I was 23 years old and absolutely terrified every single day. IEDs, snipers, ambushes, any moment could be your last. I had nightmares for years after I got back. Still have them sometimes." "Really? Really? But I learned something important. Bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what needs to be done despite the fear. You're scared right now, but you're still going to school, still making friends, still living your life. That's courage, kiddo. Real courage." Emma leaned against him. "Did therapy help you with the nightmares?" "Eventually. Took years, though. I wasn't very good at asking for help back then." "You're already ahead of me there." They sat in comfortable silence until Emma fell back asleep. Jake stayed on her floor until dawn, making sure the nightmares didn't return. May brought unexpected news. David Martinez had been attending every therapy session, every parenting class, every meeting his probation officer required. His therapist sent a letter to the court recommending supervised visitation be reconsidered. Rosa was furious. He doesn't get to waltz back into her life just because he took some classes. But Emma surprised everyone. "I want to talk to him." Why?" "Because I'm angry and I need to tell him. The therapist says I should express my feelings instead of bottling them up. So I want to tell Dad exactly how I feel about what he did or didn't do." Dr. Walsh supported the idea. "Confronting the person who failed to protect you can be very healing. As long as Emma controls the conversation and can leave whenever she wants, this could help her process her anger." The meeting was arranged for a Saturday at the Guardian Angel's office, neutral ground, with Jake and Rosa present, a therapist on standby. David arrived nervous, hopeful. Emma sat across from him, spine straight, eyes hard. "Hi, Emma. Thank you for agreeing to—" "I didn't agree for you. I agreed for me. So sit there and listen because I'm only saying this once." Emma's voice was cold. "You left me alone with a monster. You knew something was wrong and you chose to ignore it because noticing would have been inconvenient. I told you Diane was mean, and you said I needed to adjust. I told you she made me do things that hurt, and you said she was teaching me discipline. I screamed for help without saying the words and you pretended not to hear." David started crying. "Emma, I'm not done. You married Diane because you were lonely, because Mom died and you couldn't handle being a single parent. So you brought in someone to make your life easier without checking if she'd make mine harder. You put your needs before my safety. Do you understand how badly you failed me?" "Yes, God, yes. I failed you in every way possible." "You did. And I'm supposed to forgive you because you're sorry. Because you're in therapy now. That doesn't undo 2 years of torture. That doesn't undo the nightmares. That doesn't undo the fact that I tried to kill myself at 7 years old because living with Diane was unbearable." Rosa gasped. Emma had never told her that. "I swallowed pills from the medicine cabinet, 20 of them, but I threw them up because I was scared of what happens after you die. And the next morning I went to school and nobody noticed, including you." Emma's voice broke. "I almost died and you didn't even notice I was in pain." David was sobbing now, broken. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't deserve anything from you." "No, you don't. but I'm going to give you something anyway because my therapist says holding on to this anger hurts me more than you. Emma stood up. I'm giving you the truth. You're my father biologically, but you're not my dad. Jake's my dad. He's the one who showed up. He's the one who saved me. He's the one who stays even when it's hard. You're just the man who made me and then abandoned me. Jake's breath caught. Emma had never called him that before. I'm giving you permission to stop trying. Stop the therapy sessions for my benefit. Stop the parenting classes. Stop trying to earn back a relationship we never really had. Move on with your life and let me move on with mine. Emma headed for the door, then turned back. But I'm also giving you something else. I'm forgiving you. Not because you deserve it, but because I don't want to carry you around anymore. I'm done being angry. I'm done giving you space in my head. I'm just done with you. She walked out. Rosa and Jake followed. Behind them, David Martinez collapsed in his chair, destroyed by the truth he'd spent years avoiding. Outside, Emma was shaking. I said it. I finally said everything I needed to say. How do you feel? Rosa asked. Lighter. Like I put down something heavy. Emma looked at Jake. I meant what I said in there, about you being my dad. Is that okay? Jake's voice was rough with emotion. That's more than okay. That's an honor. Good. Because I'm going to start calling you Dad now, just so you know. She said it so casually, this earth-shattering statement. Jake picked her up, held her close. Works for me, kiddo. Works for me just fine. June brought the end of the school year. Emma's report card showed improvement. Her grades had climbed. Her teachers noted increased participation and confidence. She'd made 3 new friends beyond Sophie joined the art club, even tried out for the school play. I got the part of the narrator, she told Jake excitedly. It's not a big role, but I get to tell the story of what happens. Kind of perfect, right? Completely perfect. The school play was about overcoming challenges, finding courage, choosing kindness. Emma's narration tied the scenes together, her voice clear and confident. Jake sat in the audience with Rosa, Marcus, Tommy, Carlos, Grace, and Daniel, Chen, Rebecca, Mrs. Holland, and dozens of others from the Guardian Angels network. When Emma took her bow, the applause was thunderous. Backstage afterward, Emma was mobbed by supporters. But she found Jake in the crowd, pushed through to hug him. Did I do good? You did great. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of me too. A year ago, I couldn't even talk in front of people. Now I'm in plays. That's progress. It was progress. Remarkable, inspiring progress. Emma was healing, growing, becoming the person she was meant to be before Diane tried to destroy her. Guardian Angels continued expanding. By summer, they operated in 23 states with over 500 volunteers. They'd assisted in 97 child protection cases with an 83% success rate in getting kids to safety. The remaining 17% haunted Jake. Kids, they couldn't save families. They couldn't help cases that fell through cracks despite their best efforts. You can't save everyone, Emma told him one day, wise beyond her years. You taught me that, but you can save the next one. That's what we do, right? We keep trying. When did you get so smart? I told you. Good teachers. July brought Emma's first camping trip with the Guardian Angels crew. They loaded up bikes and headed to the coast, Emma riding with Jake, Rosa following in her car with supplies. Around a campfire that night, Emma listened to the men tell stories. Tommy talked about growing up in foster care. Carlos shared memories of kids he'd tried to help as a social worker, the ones who stayed with him. Marcus described combat medicine in Afghanistan, the impossible choices he'd made. We've all got scars, Jake said, watching flames dance. Different kinds, different causes, but scars mean you survived. They're proof you're still here. Emma traced the faint marks on her arms where bruises had once been. I used to hate my scars. Now I think they're kind of like battle wounds. I fought and won. That's exactly what they are, Marcus confirmed. They slept under stars, Emma wrapped in a sleeping bag between Jake and Rosa, safe and warm and loved. In the morning, she woke to seagulls and crashing waves and the certainty that this freedom, this peace, this family was real. I want to remember this forever, she told Jake as they watched the sunrise. Then we'll come back every year. Make it a tradition. Promise. Promise. August meant preparing for fourth grade. A new teacher, new challenges. Emma was nervous but ready. She'd come so far from the broken child who couldn't lift her arms, who'd cried outside a garage and changed everything. The night before school started, she couldn't sleep. Rosa found her at the kitchen table drawing. "What are you working on?" Emma held up the picture. It showed a small girl standing in front of a garage, surrounded by bikers. Above them the title, "The Day Everything Changed." "It's for my class. We're supposed to bring something that represents an important moment in our lives. This is mine. You're going to tell your classmates about what happened. Not all of it, just the parts that matter. That I was in trouble and someone helped me. That asking for help is brave, not weak. That family is who shows up, not just who's related to you." Emma added final touches to the drawing. "My therapist says sharing my story helps other kids know they're not alone, so I'm sharing." Rosa hugged her granddaughter, this resilient, courageous, beautiful child who'd survived hell and was now thriving. "Your mother would be so proud of you." "I think she is. Sometimes I feel her with me, especially when I'm scared. Like she's sending me strength." Emma smiled. "And she sent me Jake, too. I think she knew I'd need him." "Maybe she did. Your mother always had good instincts about people." September arrived with new beginnings. Emma walked into her fourth grade classroom carrying her drawing, ready to share her truth. And when her classmates asked questions, she answered honestly, yes, it was scary. Yes, it hurt. But yes, she survived. And yes, there are people who help if you're brave enough to ask. 3 kids approached her after class. One girl whispered, "My uncle hurts me sometimes. Who do I tell?" Emma took her hand. "Tell your teacher. Tell a counselor. Tell anyone who'll listen. And if they don't help you, keep telling until someone does. Want me to come with you?" The girl nodded. Together they walked to the counselor's office. By the end of the day, that girl was in protective custody. Her uncle was arrested. Another child saved because Emma had the courage to share her story. Jake got the call from the school counselor that evening. Emma helped save a life today. She heard another student's cry for help and took action immediately. You should be very proud. I am, every single day. The cycle continued. Emma's story inspired others to speak up. Guardian angels helped more kids. The network grew, and slowly, painfully, the system started changing too. New mandatory reporter trainings incorporated guardian angels methods. CPS protocols were reformed to be more responsive. Schools partnered with the Organization for Prevention programs. One child's cry for help had started a revolution, and that revolution was saving lives every single day, spreading across the country, proving that when ordinary people decide to be extraordinary, miracles happen. Emma had been that miracle for Jake and his brothers. Now she was becoming a miracle for countless others, her courage rippling outward, touching lives she'd never meet, inspiring change she might never see. But tonight, she was just a 9-year-old kid doing homework at Rosa's kitchen table, Jake helping with math problems, arguing good-naturedly about fractions. "You're making it too complicated," Emma insisted. "It's just half of half. That's a quarter." "Look at you teaching me math. What's next, motorcycle maintenance?" "Maybe. Tommy said he'd teach me when I'm older. Said every guardian angel should know how to fix what's broken." Emma grinned. "He meant bikes, but I think it works for people too." "Smart kid." "I learned from the best." She had, and she was paying it forward. One helped child at a time. One shared story at a time. One moment of courage at a time. The revolution Emma started wasn't loud or violent. It was quiet, persistent, built on the simple idea that every child deserves protection and every cry for help deserves an answer. And as Jake watched her solve math problems, laughing when she got stuck, celebrating. When she figured it out, he knew this was just the beginning. Emma would keep growing, keep healing, keep using her voice to help others find theirs. She'd keep being brave even when it was hard, keep asking for help when she needed it, keep being proof that survival was possible, that healing was real, that love could overcome trauma. She was 9 years old and already changing the world. Imagine what she'd do at 29. The thought made Jake smile. Whatever Emma became, teacher, therapist, advocate, artist, anything, she'd be extraordinary. Because she already was. And he'd be there to see it every step of the way. That was his promise, his purpose, his privilege. One cry for help had changed everything. Now they were all just living in the better world that followed, working every day to make sure no child's cry ever went unanswered again. That smile faded when Jake's phone rang at midnight. Rebecca's voice tight with urgency. We've got a situation. Diane's prison transport was in an accident on I-5. 3 guards injured 2 prisoners unaccounted for. Jake's blood turned to ice. Tell me she's not one of them. Silence. Then, she is. State police are searching, but she's been missing for 4 hours. They think she had help. The accident was staged. Emma. I need to get to Emma. Already called Rosa. They're locking down the bakery. I'm sending 2 off-duty cops to stand guard. Jake, Diane knows where Emma lives. She knows where she goes to school. She's had 18 months in prison to plan this. Jake was already moving, shouting for Marcus and Tommy. How far could she get in 4 hours? If she had a car waiting, she could be in Portland already. Carlos burst through the door, weapon in hand. I heard. What's the play? We move Emma. Now. Get her somewhere Diane can't find. Jake grabbed his keys. Marcus, you're with me. Tommy, Carlos, sweep the bakery perimeter. Anyone suspicious, you call it in. We're not taking chances. They roared through empty streets, Jake's Harley hitting 90 on straightaways. His mind raced faster than the bike. Diane was smart, calculating, patient. She'd been planning this escape for months, maybe from the moment her appeal failed. And her target was obvious. Rosa met them at the bakery door. Emma clutched to her chest. The child was crying, shaking. She's coming for me. I know she is. Not if we move first. Jake scooped Emma up. Pack a bag. 5 minutes. Only essentials. Where are we going? Rosa demanded. Carlos's cabin. Same place we took you during the appeal. It's off-grid, no electronic trail. Diane can't find what doesn't exist on paper. What about my school? My friends, I can't just disappear. You can and you will, until she's caught. Jake's voice was steel. I'm not risking you, Emma. Not for school. Not for anything. They loaded into Marcus's truck, less conspicuous than motorcycles. Tommy and Carlos followed in a second vehicle, armed and alert. The convoy headed east, away from Portland, into the mountains. Emma sat wedged between Jake and Rosa, silent now, but trembling. What if she finds us anyway? Then she goes through me first. Jake checked his mirrors for the 100th time. And brother, that's not happening. They reached the cabin at 3 a.m. Carlos had it stocked for emergencies, food, water, weapons, communications equipment. Marcus set up a perimeter alarm system while Tommy checked all entry points. We're secure, Tommy reported. Motion sensors on all approaches, cameras on the access road. Anything bigger than a deer comes within a quarter mile, we'll know. Rosa got Emma settled in the back bedroom, but the child wouldn't sleep. She sat upright, eyes wide, jumping at every sound. I thought it was over. The court said she couldn't get out. They promised. The court didn't plan on a staged prison break. Jake sat beside her. But Emma, listen to me. We're not the same people we were 2 years ago. We're prepared now, organized. We've got resources, people, protocols. Diane's running blind with every cop in Oregon looking for her. She won't get close. You can't know that. You're right. But I can promise to do everything in my power to keep you safe. And this time I've got a whole lot more power than I did when you were just a scared kid outside my garage. Emma leaned against him. I'm still scared. That's smart. Fear keeps you alert. But don't let it control you. We've got this. Dawn broke with no sign of Diane. Jake got updates every hour. State police had found the abandoned transport van, tracked Diane's movements to a rest stop where a civilian car had been stolen. Security footage showed her changing clothes, cutting her hair. She was headed north toward Portland, exactly as they'd predicted. She'll go to the bakery first, Rebecca said over the phone. When she finds it empty, she'll try the school. We've got both locations covered, plainclothes officers waiting. The moment she shows we've got her. Unless she's smarter than that. Unless she knows we'd anticipate those moves. Jake paced the cabin's small living room. She's had 18 months to plan this. She won't make obvious mistakes. So what's her play? She goes after someone Emma cares about, uses them as leverage to draw her out. Jake's mind worked through possibilities. Sophie, Grace Chen, Mrs. Holland. She hurts someone Emma loves and waits for Emma to surface, Rebecca swore. Becca, I'll get protection on all of them. Jake, we can't cover everyone. Portland's a big city. Then we narrow the field. Who would Emma sacrifice herself for? Emma appeared in the doorway having heard everything. Me. She'd use me as bait by threatening me. That doesn't make sense. No, think about it. Diane doesn't want to hurt other people. She wants to hurt me. So she'd threaten to hurt me publicly, force me to come to her, make me choose to give myself up. Emma's voice was eerily calm. She'd go to the news. Tell them I'm in danger, that I've been kidnapped by bikers, that she escaped to save me. Turn public opinion against you. Jake stared at her. When did you learn to think like a manipulator? I lived with one for 2 years. I know how Diane's mind works. Emma sat at the table. She'll play the victim. Say she was falsely imprisoned, that her conviction was based on lies, that I'm being held against my will by the same criminals who framed her. She'll make me the villain. Nobody would believe that. Some people would. Enough to cause problems. Enough to force us to prove I'm safe, which means revealing where we are. Emma looked at Jake with eyes too old for 9 years. We can't hide forever. Eventually we have to face her. Might as well do it on our terms. Absolutely not. You're not using yourself as bait. I'm not saying I should. I'm saying we need to think like she does. Anticipate her moves. She won't come to us, she'll make us come to her. Rosa had been listening quietly. Emma's right. Diane doesn't react, she orchestrates. We need to be smarter than her. Jake called Rebecca back. Put together a task force. I want surveillance on every news station, every social media platform, anywhere Diane could go public. The second she surfaces with a story, we counter it immediately. Already on it. State police are coordinating with FBI. Now she crossed state lines when she hit that rest stop near the Washington border. This is federal. The wait was excruciating. Hours turned to days. Emma couldn't go to school, couldn't contact friends, couldn't have any digital footprint that Diane could trace. She was a ghost in her own life. I hate this, she told Jake on the 3rd day. I hate that she still has power over me. Even from outside prison, even on the run, she's controlling my life. Only temporarily. The net's closing. She can't run forever. But Diane proved more resourceful than expected. On day 4, a video surfaced on YouTube. Diane looking gaunt and desperate, staring into a camera. My name is Diane Crawford, and I'm the victim of a terrible injustice. 18 months ago, I was convicted of abusing my stepdaughter Emma, based on fabricated evidence from a criminal biker gang. I loved that child like she was my own, tried to provide structure and discipline after her mother's death. But when I wouldn't tolerate Emma's friendship with convicted felons, they retaliated. They stalked my family, planted evidence, coerced Emma into lying. The justice system failed me. So I'm fighting back the only way I can, by telling the truth. Emma, sweetheart, if you're seeing this, I'm coming for you. Not to hurt you, but to save you from the men who've brainwashed you. I love you. I've always loved you. The video went viral within hours. Comments flooded in, some supportive of Diane, others calling her delusional, most just confused by competing narratives. Emma watched it with trembling hands. She's good. Really good. Look how she's crying. How she makes it sound like she's the victim. Nobody who knows the truth will believe this. But lots of people don't know the truth. They just see a desperate woman claiming she was wronged. Emma's jaw set. We need to release my response. Let me tell people she's lying. That tells her you're watching, that you're engaged. It's exactly what she wants. So what, we just let her control the narrative? Rebecca Conference called in. Actually, Emma might be right. We stay silent, Diane owns the story. We respond, we take back control. But it has to be smart, professional. not a scared kid reacting a survivor setting the record straight. They spent 2 hours crafting Emma's response. She sat in front of a camera at the cabin, Jake beside her, and spoke directly to the lens. "I'm Emma Martinez. I'm 9 years old. The woman in that video, Diane Crawford, tortured me for 2 years. She made me hold heavy books over my head until I passed out. She locked me in closets. She starved me. She beat me. She threatened to kill me if I told anyone. When I finally found the courage to ask for help, the men she's calling criminals saved my life. They documented the abuse. They worked with lawyers and police. They followed every legal protocol. A court convicted Diane based on overwhelming evidence, medical records, testimony from multiple witnesses, her own previous conviction for abusing her ex-husband's children. She's not a victim. She's a predator. And I'm not afraid to say that anymore." Emma's voice never wavered. She looked directly at the camera, powerful and clear. "Diane, if you're watching this, know that I'm not the scared 7-year-old you remember. I'm stronger now. I have people who protect me, and you will never hurt me or anyone else again. Turn yourself in. Face justice. Because the longer you run, the worse it gets for you." They posted the video to Guardian Angel's official channels. Within an hour, it had 100,000 views. Within 3 hours, 1 million. The comments shifted overwhelmingly in Emma's favor, but Jake knew they'd just made themselves visible. Diane now knew Emma was alive, safe, and fighting back, which meant Diane's next move would be desperate. He was right. That night, Grace Chen called, voice shaking. "Someone tried to break into our house. Daniel scared them off, but we saw her, Jake. It was Diane. She was trying to get to Sophie. Is everyone okay? We're fine. Police are here. But she knows where we live. She knows Sophie is Emma's best friend. Pack a bag. You're coming to the cabin. All of you. We can't just abandon our home. You can and you will. Diane's escalating. She's desperate. Desperate people do desperate things." Jake's voice was iron. "I'm sending Tommy to get you. Be ready in 20 minutes. The Chens arrived by midnight. Sophie running to hug Emma the moment she saw her. "Are you okay? I saw your video. You were so brave." "I was terrified. But I couldn't let her lie about Jake and the guys." Emma held her friend tight. "I'm sorry you're in danger because of me." "You're not in danger because of Emma," Grace corrected firmly. "You're in danger because Diane Crawford is a monster who can't accept that she lost. That's not Emma's fault." The cabin was getting crowded, but Jake didn't care. Everyone Emma loved was now under one roof, under his protection. Diane would have to go through a small army to get to any of them. Day 6 brought the break they needed. A gas station attendant in Bend recognized Diane from news coverage, called police. By the time officers arrived, she was gone, but she'd left a credit card receipt. Stolen card, but it gave them a location and timestamp. "She's heading east," the FBI agent coordinating the manhunt told Jake. "Away from Portland. Either she's running for real, or she's trying to draw us away from the city. She's planning something. Diane doesn't run without purpose." Jake studied the map. "What's east of Bend?" "Wilderness, mountains, places to hide, or places to stage an ambush. She wants us to come after her on her terms." Jake made a decision. "We stay put. We let law enforcement handle the chase. Our job is protecting Emma, not hunting Diane." But Emma had other ideas. "We can't hide forever. School starts again in 2 weeks. I can't miss 4th grade because she's playing games. We need to end this." "We will, when she's caught." "What if she's never caught? What if she disappears into the wilderness and we spend years looking over our shoulders?" Emma's frustration boiled over. "I won't live like that. I won't let her steal my life again." Rosa intervened. "Emma, I understand how you feel, but rushing into danger won't solve this. Neither will hiding." Emma stood up. "I'm going to school in 2 weeks. I'm going back to my life. And if Diane wants to come after me, let her try. I've got guardian angels, police, FBI, and a whole community watching my back. She's one person. We're hundreds. She can't win. She can if she gets lucky once." Jake's voice was quiet but firm. "All it takes is one moment of inattention, one gap in security, one lucky break for her. I'm not risking you on those odds." They reached an impasse. Emma wanted her life back. Jake wanted her safe. Those goals were currently mutually exclusive. The decision was taken out of their hands on day 8. Diane walked into a Portland police station and surrendered. Jake got the call at dawn. She just turned herself in. No lawyer, no demands. Said she wanted to tell her side of the story and then accept whatever punishment came. That doesn't make sense. Why run for 8 days just to surrender? Maybe she realized she couldn't win, or maybe she's playing a longer game. Rebecca met Diane at the station, observing the interrogation through one-way glass. Diane looked exhausted, defeated, nothing like the calculating predator she'd been. "I made a mistake," Diane told the detectives. "The escape, the video, everything. I just wanted to see Emma one more time. To apologize. To tell her I was sorry for how things ended. You tortured that child for 2 years. You expect anyone to believe you want to apologize. I was under stress. David traveled constantly. I was overwhelmed trying to raise a child who wasn't mine, who resented me for not being her mother. I made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. But I never meant to hurt her." The detective wasn't buying it. "Your ex-husband's children tell a different story. Pattern of systematic abuse across multiple victims. That's not stress. That's predatory behavior." Diane's mask slipped. Just for a second, rage flashed across her face before she locked it down. "I'd like to speak with Emma. Let me apologize to her directly." "Absolutely not. I'm surrendering. I'm cooperating. All I'm asking is 10 minutes to tell a child I'm sorry." "Is that really too much?" Rebecca called Jake. "She's asking to see Emma. Claims she wants to apologize." "Hell no." "That's what I said. But Jake, she's playing an angle. She doesn't do anything without purpose. She's planning something. Then let her plan from a cell. Emma's not going anywhere near her." But Emma, listening on speakerphone, had different ideas. "I want to see her. Emma, not alone, not without you there. But I want to look her in the eye and tell her she failed, that I survived, that I won." Emma's voice was steel. "She wants closure. I'll give her closure. The kind where she knows she lost everything, and I kept everything that matters." Jake wanted to refuse. Every instinct screamed to keep Emma far from Diane. But he also recognized the look in Emma's eyes, the need to face her demon, to prove she wasn't afraid anymore. "I set the terms. Supervised meeting, police present, 5 minutes maximum. You feel uncomfortable at any point we leave." "Agreed." "Agreed." They arranged it for the next day at the police station. Emma prepared by talking through her feelings with Dr. Walsh, practicing what she wanted to say, steeling herself for confrontation. "You don't have to do this," the therapist reminded her. "There's no shame in choosing not to face your abuser." "I know, but I want to. I need to see that she's just a person, not the monster from my nightmares. Just a sad, broken person who hurt me because she was hurt." Emma took a deep breath. "And I need her to see that I'm not broken. She tried to destroy me and failed." The meeting was set for noon. Emma walked into the police station, holding Jake's hand, Rosa, on her other side, Rebecca trailing with legal documents. They were led to an interview room where Diane sat in handcuffs, looking small and human, and nothing like the giant from Emma's memories. Emma sat across from her spine, straight chin up. Jake and Rosa flanked her like guardian angels. Diane stared at Emma, drinking in the sight of her. "You've grown. That's what happens when you're not being tortured. You grow." Emma's voice was calm. "You wanted to apologize. I'm listening." Diane's eyes filled with tears. "Emma, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I was under so much pressure trying to be a good mother to you, trying to make our family work. I lost control. I let my frustration hurt you, but I never stopped loving you. You never loved me. You loved controlling me." Emma didn't blink. "Love doesn't lock kids in closets. Love doesn't make kids hold books until they pass out. Love doesn't threaten to kill kids if they ask for help. You're not sorry you hurt me. You're sorry you got caught." Diane's mask cracked further. "That's not fair. I gave up everything to take care of you after your mother died." "You gave up nothing. You saw a lonely man with a kid and thought it would be easy. Then you found out I wasn't easy. I was a real person with feelings and needs, and you couldn't control that. So you tried to break me into compliance. Emma leaned forward. But I didn't break. You tortured me for 2 years and I didn't break. I survived. I escaped. I testified. I won. And you're going to spend the rest of your life in prison knowing you failed. Emma, please. I'm not done. You wanted closure. Here it is. I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because holding on to hate for you takes energy. I'd rather spend being happy. You don't get to live in my head anymore. You don't get to control my emotions. You're just a person who hurt me once and can never hurt me again. You're nothing to me now. Less than nothing. Diane's composure shattered. You little brat. After everything I did for you, trying to make you into something decent instead of the weak, pathetic child you were. There it is. Emma smiled coldly. There's the real Diane, the one who hates children for being children, the one who needs to dominate and destroy, the one who couldn't stand that I survived despite your best efforts to break me. You survived because I let you. I could have killed you 100 times. The officers moved forward, but Emma held up her hand. Let her talk. Let everyone hear who she really is. You were nothing but a burden from the day I met you. A whiny, needy, worthless little girl who couldn't even make her own father love her enough to notice I was destroying her. You think you won. You won nothing. You're damaged forever. Every relationship you ever have will be poisoned by what I did to you. Every time you trust someone, you'll remember that trust got you tortured. I'm in prison, but I'm still in your head. I'll always be in your head. That's my victory. Emma stood up calmly. You're wrong about one thing. You're not in my head. You're just a bad memory that gets smaller every day. You're yesterday's monster, and I'm tomorrow's survivor. Watch me prove it. She walked out head high while Diane screamed curses behind her. Outside the interview room, Emma collapsed into Jake's arms, shaking but victorious. I did it. I faced her, and I didn't fall apart. You were incredible. I'm so proud of you. She's wrong, right? About me being damaged forever. About trust being impossible. Look around you, Emma. You trust Rosa. You trust me. You trust Sophie and Grace and everyone at Guardian Angels. You're not broken. You're healing. There's a difference. Jake tilted her face up. Diane wanted to see you crumble. Instead, you showed her strength. You won that confrontation in every way that matters. Diane was formally charged with escape, evading arrest, attempted kidnapping, and additional counts of child endangerment. Her sentence was extended to 25 years minimum. No possibility of parole before Emma turned 32. She'll be 68 when she gets out, Rebecca explained. Old, broken, powerless. While you'll be in your prime, living your best life, proving every day that she couldn't destroy you. Emma returned to school 2 weeks later with a police escort for the first week just to be safe. But Diane's capture had broken the spell of fear. Emma walked into her classroom, confident, greeting friends, settling into her seat like she belonged there. Because she did. She belonged in classrooms and playgrounds and art clubs and all the normal places children should be. Not in closets or stress positions or the private hell Diane had created. 4th grade became Emma's year of transformation. She joined student council, started a peer support group for kids dealing with trauma, got lead role in the winter play. She was thriving in ways that would have been impossible 2 years earlier. Guardian Angels continued expanding. By December, they operated in 31 states with over 1,000 volunteers. They'd helped 173 children escape abuse, partnered with 52 schools on prevention programs, and trained 600 mandatory reporters to spot signs of maltreatment. Emma became the face of the organization, not as a victim, but as a survivor. She gave talks at schools, spoke at fundraisers, shared her story with anyone who'd listen, not for sympathy, but to show other kids that survival was possible, that asking for help was brave, that life after trauma could be beautiful. On her 10th birthday, Guardian Angels threw a celebration at the garage. 200 people attended, every child they'd helped, every volunteer who'd participated, every supporter who'd donated time or money or resources. Emma stood in the center of the garage where she'd first cried 2.5 years earlier, surrounded by family, both biological and chosen, and felt overwhelming gratitude. "I want to say something," she announced, and the crowd quieted. "When I was 7 years old, I stood outside this garage, crying because I couldn't lift my arms. I was broken, terrified, dying a little more every day. Then 4 bikers stopped what they were doing and listened to a scared kid they had no reason to care about. They saved my life. Not just by getting me away from Diane, but by showing me what real strength looks like. Real courage. Real love." Emma looked at Jake, Marcus, Tommy, and Carlos. "You guys taught me that family is who shows up. That protecting the vulnerable isn't weakness, it's the highest form of strength. That one person caring enough to act can change everything. You changed me. And because you changed me, I could help change others. Every kid Guardian Angels has saved that started with you 4 deciding a crying child mattered." She turned to the crowd. "All of you are part of this family now. Everyone in this room has chosen to show up for kids who need protection. You've chosen courage over comfort. You've chosen to see children who were invisible. And because of that, 173 kids are safe tonight who might not have been. That's the power of caring. That's the power of community. That's the revolution we've started." The applause was deafening. Emma grinned, soaking it in, 10 years old and already a force of nature. Later, when the celebration wound down and only close family remained, Emma pulled Jake aside. "Can we go for a ride? Just you and me?" "Where to?" "Cedar Street. I want to see the house." Jake understood. Emma needed to face that final demon, the physical place where her nightmare had occurred. "You sure?" "I'm sure." They rode through Portland as twilight fell. Emma's arms wrapped around Jake's waist, no longer afraid of the wind or the speed or anything the world could throw at her. They pulled up outside the blue Colonial where David Martinez still lived. He'd kept the house, but lived there alone, Diane's presence thoroughly exorcised. Emma stood on the sidewalk staring at the house that had been her prison. "It looks smaller than I remember, less scary. Places usually do when you grow bigger than they are. I used to think I'd never escape this place, that I'd die here and nobody would care." Emma took Jake's hand. "Thank you for making sure that didn't happen. Thank you for being the dad I needed when I needed him most. Thank you for being brave enough to ask for help, for trusting a rough-looking biker when you had no reason to trust anyone." Jake pulled her close. "You saved yourself, kiddo. I just got to be part of the story. We saved each other. You needed purpose after the war. I needed protection. We both got what we needed." Emma smiled up at him. "That's how family works, right? We save each other." "That's exactly how it works." They stood together in the fading light, survivor and protector, daughter and father by choice, if not by blood proof, that the worst circumstances could lead to the best outcomes when people chose courage over convenience. Emma turned away from the house, ready to leave it in the past where it belonged. "Can we get ice cream on the way home?" "We can get whatever you want." "Good. Because I want to celebrate. Not what happened in that house, but everything that happened after. All the good that came from surviving." They rode toward home, Rosa's bakery that smelled like bread and safety, the garage where Guardian Angels continued their work, the community they'd built from one child's cry for help and 4 bikers' decision to answer. Emma's arms were strong now. She could lift them high, reach for anything she wanted. Embrace life without fear holding her back. She'd survived torture, faced her abuser, rebuilt herself stronger than before, and used her story to save others. At 10 years old, she had already changed the world, and she was just getting started. Guardian Angels would continue growing, helping thousands more children, proving every day that when ordinary people decide to be extraordinary, miracles happen. Emma would grow up to become exactly the person Diane had tried to prevent, confident, powerful, unafraid, using her voice to protect the voiceless. Diane would rot in prison, her power gone, her victims thriving despite her best efforts to destroy them. She'd spend decades watching from behind bars as Emma and Cassie and Mia and every other child she'd hurt built beautiful lives, proving that abusers don't get the final word. Because here's the truth that mattered most when a child cries for help and someone answers when community chooses protection over convenience. When survivors refuse to stay silent, the darkness doesn't stand a chance. Emma had cried, "I can't lift my arms," and 4 bikers had heard her. They'd saved one child, sparked a movement, and proven that angels sometimes wear leather jackets and ride motorcycles. And the whole town hadn't just been shocked by what the cyclists did next. They'd been inspired to do better themselves, to watch more carefully, to listen more closely, to protect more fiercely. One cry for help had changed everything. One answer had saved countless lives. And the revolution born in that moment would echo for generations, protecting children who hadn't even been born yet, proving forever that every child deserves a guardian angel and every cry deserves an answer. Emma could lift her arms now. She could do anything, and that made all the difference.